Hello and welcome to the Shea Hates Everything Podcast, where we talk about video games, movies, comics, and other shit that matters. My name is Shea, and today I hate that my wife went and bought a giant bag of candy for our Halloween trick-or-treaters, and we didn't even get any, and then she decided to give it to her coworkers the next day instead of leaving it at home so that I could eat it.
My name is Kyle, and today I hate my constant indigestion.
I am passionate about that, clearly.
I can tell.
It's bullshit. She bought a giant mixed bag of chocolate candy. So it had like regular Hershey's bars, Whoppers, Reese's, Kit Kat. There's something else that I'm not remembering. And so it was a giant, like, you know, those big plastic orange bowls that you always get to put the... It was full. Yeah. We didn't get a single fucking trick-or-treater. And then I wake up the next day, and because she leaves for work before I do, I wake up the next day, go out in the living room, and there are like 6 pieces of candy in the bucket. And so I texted her. I was like, dude, where's all the candy? She's like, oh, we didn't need all of it, so I brought it to work. Like, what the hell?
So
I hate being on this stupid diet.
So for us, we got that big bag because it was like half off at Kroger. So we had this huge mixed bag thing and filled the bowl with it. And we had probably like 80 trick-or-treaters come.
Wow.
But still, we had a ton of candy left, so we've been working our way through that over the past few days, and it's been good.
Ugh.
Not to rub your face in it, but
I know,
rub your face right in it.
And it's all like I've been rationing it now because there are so few things in there. I'll have like a piece every couple of days because Kelly's like, she's not really gonna eat it. She's good at like not breaking that diet thing we're trying to do,
right?
Which is surprising because Kit Kat are like her kryptonite. She loves Kit Kats, but I've been like eating one every couple of days, and it's not because they're the little tiny fun size things.
Oh, those
so
suck.
it's like an amuse bouche of chocolate candy. Like it's not enough. Like, and I know amuse bouche because I've been watching Top Chef. It means in one bite.
Yes,
it's an appetizer that's in one bite. And that's what these are. A little tiny Kit Kat. It's like a quarter of the size of a single line of Kit Kat. And the king size.
Is amuse-bouche, is that French?
I would assume so. All the fucking food shit is French.
Yeah, because I think it's French because I think that's how I know it because my co-director, she's a French teacher. And I actually knew what you meant when you said that. So that's probably why. It's probably French. But yeah, my amuse-bouche in one bite is just the whole bowl in one bite.
Exactly.
The whole bowl of
yeah.
candy.
You just open your mouth and you just kind of tip it in, wrappers and all. You'll unwrap them in your mouth.
Yeah, when things say fun size, I need something that's Kyle size, and it's just massive. It's bigger than
I've
king
always
size.
hated that marketing tactic. Like, oh, fun size, it's cute. Like that shit's not fun.
No one has fun with that.
Disappointing size is what it is. But obviously, you're all listening to this week after Halloween shows how much attention I'm paying. So, like, did you guys do anything for Halloween other than have trick-or-treaters?
No, and I didn't want to do any. I wanted to put the bowl outside and not answer the door, but Kara wanted to do that, so I let her do that, and I sat in the computer room and played Fallout and watched YouTube videos the whole time.
Did she dress up or anything?
No, because we did a Halloween cast party for our theater kids. So we did like a run of the show in our Halloween costumes and had like treat bags and stuff for them.
That's fun.
Yeah, and so I got a nice picture of all the kids in their costumes. They were pretty fun. And then Kara and I had an actual Halloween party, like an adult party, Harry Potter themed.
So yes, you guys did do something. I asked you if you did something, and you're like, "No, we just sat around."
I thought you meant like on Halloween.
You guys had a fucking party.
I thought you meant on Halloween.
For the holiday of Halloween.
Yeah, we had a Harry Potter themed party, and like so when people came, we sorted them into the houses, and then they had their teams. We did all these Harry Potter things. Like we found a Harry Potter drinking board game and got those printed off. And we did this whole like house points and individual points thing. And the house that got the most points, that won the house cup, they all got gold wands to take home. And then the person with the most individual points got a copy of the Harry Potter drinking board game. And whoever got the least individual points was the house elf for the rest of the night. And they couldn't get their sock until... because house elf just means you have to do whatever anyone tells you to do. It's like asshole. And... So they were house elf for the rest of the night until they rode the Hogwarts Express, which is just riding the bus. So they had to ride the bus. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, well, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. The way I do it...
I'm almost 30. I don't know any of this cool
college, man.
stuff.
You went to college. You probably drank there, too. So, riding the bus, it's a card game, and there are a bunch of different ways you can do it. But the way I do it, which is just really easy, you flip a card, in a single card in row 1, 2 cards in row 2, 3 in row 3, 4 in row 4. So it's a pyramid. And the first row... You flip over a card, and the way I do it is I say higher or lower, and they guess higher or lower, and I flip over the next card. If they're right, they progress to the next round. If you fail at any of the levels, you have to take that many drinks. So if you fail on row 3, you take 3 drinks and start from the beginning, and you have to make it all the way through. So that's riding the bus. That's how.
What does that have to do with the bus?
I don't know. Who knows? And so we just made it riding the Hogwarts Express. So.
Okay.
And he got it on his first try.
Wow.
Like, he, went all the way through on his first try. So I was
impressive.
You deserve your sock. So I literally just had one of my dress socks on...
that you were wearing?
No, I'd washed it on a twine necklace and, put it over his head.
That's fun.
I wanted to get a burlap sack for whoever was the house elf, but we had spent a bunch of money on the party already, and I didn't want to spend any more.
And you guys had it at your place?
Yeah.
Was this the first time you had, a bunch of people over, or...
No, we've had a couple parties so far, but I think we had the most people here this time. So it was a little crowded. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Kara did a lot of work. We did Quidditch Pong. So there's the 3 goal posts in the middle. So if you make it through the hoop, you get to take an extra cup, stuff like that.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, and we did, what were the other games? We had potions class, which was mix the best drink. And whoever that Kara and I decide is the best drink wins and stuff like that. We did Have You Seen This Witch or Wizard? And we have still images of funny faces from Harry Potter movies, and they have to reenact the scene, and then whoever did the best reenactment gets it. We had trivia. We ran out of time because it took way longer than we thought it was going to. We were going to do Transfiguration, which was just charades, but Harry Potter themed. And we did a drawing class, which is I solemnly swear that I can't draw too good. And it was just a hippogriff playing a banjo or 2 Dementors fucking. Stuff like that. So, yeah. We had a lot of fun with it.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
It was pretty cool. If you and Kelly lived locally, you both probably would have enjoyed coming over.
I thought you were going to say you both probably would have been invited.
Yeah, well, that too, I suppose. But yeah,
maybe we'd be invited.
Yeah, Kara put a lot of work into it, and I think people had fun. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah, as long as you're a Harry Potter fan.
Sure. Well, but I mean, obviously, in order to participate in a lot, you kind of need to know about Harry Potter. Yeah. But I feel like even if you aren't a fan of it, something themed like that, where presumably everyone else is kind of into it, makes it a lot easier to enjoy. You can just kind of go for the ride with it.
Yeah, and it was drawing pictures and reenacting stuff. And so the only part that if you don't know Harry Potter, you couldn't really do anything for, it was the trivia. And that was that was really the only one. But yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Did you and Kelly do anything?
I mean, we watched Stranger Things.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so did we.
We didn't do freaking anything, man. I feel a little bad. My issue is, it's not that I don't like Halloween. I just don't care that much about it, which is weird because being an actor, you'd think I would like the dress up and all that kind of stuff. It's just I've never cared that much about Halloween. It's never been one of my favorite holidays. And it definitely is Kelly's. For her, it's more she loves answering the door for trick-or-treaters because she desperately wants a kid, and that's kind of she just loves kids. But because we live in an apartment complex, I believe in the 5 years that we've lived together, we've had one trick-or-treater. And I was asking her about it the other night, and she was like, I will never forget that boy. Because it was her favorite moment, being able to have a little trick-or-treater. So I told her one day when we do have a house, if we don't already have kids of our own, we'll at least get kids then. But Yeah, we didn't really do anything. We were actually watching Stranger Things while trick-or-treating would have been happening, but we didn't get any knocks on the door. So, I mean, I didn't care because I wanted to watch Stranger Things, and I wanted to eat candy, but I didn't get to eat any candy.
Man. It's like, even while the bowl was sitting there full of candy, Kelly didn't let you have any?
I may have had, like, a thing of Whoppers. I may have grabbed one thing, but she gives me that guilty eye. I can't do it. I need to sneak it while she's gone. Yeah. It's the only way I can enjoy it. Because then it's, like, guilt chocolate, and takes away the flavor, you know? It just tastes like shame and regret and judgment.
Turns to ash in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so, I mean, this was already talking about it. You want to talk about Stranger Things a little bit?
Yeah, so did you and Kelly finish the season?
We have.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, so have we.
You guys?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to go into spoilers. Maybe, like, if we want to talk about it next episode, because it will have been out for a little bit longer. Yeah. But first, before we talk about season 2 a little bit, how do you feel, or how did you feel about season 1? I know we've talked about this, but just as like a recap, where are you on the Stranger Things hype train?
I'd probably give it like an 8.59 out of 10 the first season. I really liked it. I mean, there were elements of it that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I liked the mystery of the Upside Down and what was going on there, and how they were disseminating that information through the different scenes and characters and them talking about it and stuff. I thought season 2 felt a little... There were parts of it that felt kind of listless. Like... and maybe, like, there were parts where maybe they were trying to pad it out a bit, or, like... Okay. I'm specifically thinking of things with 11. And also, Winona Ryder doesn't get any better, because she's incapable of getting better. She's the worst part about the show.
Oh, it's so... Because people loved her in the first season, and it's a great character, and she's certainly fun to watch because she's batshit and, like, completely off the wall. But I agree with you. It's just, like, she's a bad... Like, in this show... She is bad.
Yeah.
And she's really over the top and crazy, which plays okay, but it's just
nobody else is.
Yeah, and like a lot of the emotional moments don't carry through. And Kelly made a really good observation that I hadn't realized, which I think is part of the problem. She doesn't act when she isn't speaking. So like any times you're seeing her in kind of multi-shots, she's just standing there. Yeah. Like there's nothing going on behind her eyes, no expression on her face. And then once it's her turn to say a line, she gets engaging and is all flaily and crazy.
Right.
For me, like it didn't... Afterwards, when we were kind of dissecting the season, it definitely came up for the two of us. But while I was watching it, I certainly didn't like hate her performance because she is so crazy. It's at least like fun and I'm into it, but she just, I don't know. She's definitely, from the acting perspective, easily the weak link in that cast, which is pretty crazy when you consider that most of the actors are kids.
Right. Yeah, I know. And there's something about child actors, a lot of them, it's good. Maybe it's that they don't have full control over their bodies yet, but they're twitchy. You know what I mean? Like when they say stuff, they do like little weird shoulder and head things. Like they don't have full control of their bodies yet. Sorry, my dog has his chew toy and he's squeaking. But he just, I don't like. There were a couple of the kids that it bothers me because it's the way Daniel Radcliffe was in Harry Potter.
Right.
Like it is very much so.
I'm thinking, I mean, people listening, this is great for audio format, but like his like little blink where he like blinks one eye at a time and it's so creepy looking. That's one of my favorite moments. I think it's in the first movie or maybe the second one.
I think it's in the first.
When he's like, it's winter time and he's like sitting looking out the window at the snowy grounds of Hogwarts and like, you know, the Hedwig theme is kind of swelling as Hedwig's getting ready to fly off and it's like panning out from him, but you get this close up of his face and he just does this like one eye at a time blink and it's so hilarious. I lose it every time I see that scene. Like Kelly and I will be watching Harry Potter and I'm like, here it comes, look at watch his eyes. So good. But I will say, like, I feel like all the kids were really strong in the first season, and I think they all definitely like made the next step from an acting perspective into season 2. I would say like my big criticism for like our main, what is it, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, and 11. My main criticism would be like the over-reliance on Dustin for like the comedy, because he's a very funny actor. Like he does a great job and did a great job in the first season, but they do a lot of the same bits where he kind of undercuts the situation a lot. There's one scene in particular which like I don't want to spoil, but everybody is kind of like brainstorming together and they're all like trying to figure out how they can do this thing, and he keeps coming in and undercutting it, and then you get then like Hopper undercuts his undercut, and they do it like 3 or 4 times, and it's the same bit, and I was just like, dude, come on. Like, and not only did it not super work from a comedic perspective, but it totally kills the drama of the situation.
Right.
Because I liked the bits of levity in the first season, especially because it's such a fascinating, unique show. It seems weird to say it's unique because the show is literally so derivative of 80s stuff, but nowadays it's such a unique show that I like all the pieces. I like the sci-fi, I like the horror, I like the comedy. All that stuff I think really gelled well together. Those same pieces in season 2 I don't think worked as well. Like a lot of the comedy didn't work as well for me. There's a romantic side between 2 characters that I really wasn't interested in having developed. So yeah, I mean, like we're being a little bit general about comments, obviously for sake of spoilers, and I know I'm being a little negative on it on the whole. Like I still enjoyed this season, like I still liked it, and I liked the first season more than you. Like for me, the first season is like one of the most awesome seasons of television that I've ever seen. It felt so complete. Other than like the cliffhanger at the end, obviously.
It's seriously, it's Winona Ryder for me. Like
that's fair,
she
and that's fine. Like she's
every scene she's in for me.
She really is I mean, it's an ensemble cast, but especially in the first season, she kind of feels like the main character.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that. But like for me, on the positive side, you'll know the episode I'm talking about, and people that have watched, I'm sure will know. But there's an episode that really focuses on 11 in particular. And a lot of people have been criticizing that episode because it feels a little superfluous, because it doesn't add a ton to like the actual narrative of the season. I loved that episode. I feel like it taught us so much more about her character, and she went through this amazing arc just through the course of those like 50 minutes. And I felt like it really built on the world too, in a way that I totally hadn't thought of until season 2, because like they kind of intro the idea in the beginning of season 2. I hate this. I'm being like so generic about everything for the sake of not spoiling, but I thought there were a lot of pieces that really worked in this season. It's just kind of the whole didn't come together the way that season 1 did, and especially it just didn't have surprise, which I can't believe I'm saying, because the first season was so surprising in so many ways. Like the big things that happened, certainly plenty of them were incredibly epic, including the finale. Like the big showdown at the end was fucking incredible to watch, especially visually, but nothing like certain things happen with certain characters. There are quote unquote twists that happen with like what is really going on. None of it was surprising. And that like bums me out for a show that was kind of its hook, is it was super surprising in the first season.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, obviously if you were going to watch it, you're going to watch it anyway. And I still encourage people to watch it and make your own opinions. Yeah. And especially to watch it because next episode I would like to talk about spoilers. So you should probably watch season 2.
So you've all got 2 weeks.
Next episode. Yes, exactly. 2 weeks to watch Stranger Things. I can't imagine anybody that cared about Stranger Things hasn't finished it by the time this is out.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the nature of that show and kind of binge watching on Netflix in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, solid season, but to me, very underwhelming when looked at in the lens of the first season, because it that sticks out so much. And we went and we marathoned the first season right before season 2 came out, and it only made the drop off that much more dramatic, because the first season, this was because we only watched it once, and this was our second time watching it, and it still held up so well. Even when I knew the stuff that was going to happen, it was still so fascinating to watch. I haven't written it yet, but by the time you're listening to this, it should be up. I'm writing a review of season 2 where, I will go into spoilers, and especially a lot of the little tidbits that they kind of pluck from other movies of the era, because season 1 was so famous for that, heavy influence by like Jaws, Nightmare on Elm Street, and this season to me had a lot more of like Goonies feel, and it had like a lot of Indiana Jones influence and like Ghostbusters, obviously. So I'll definitely talk about some of that, as well as there's some new characters in season 2 that I actively hated and literally brought nothing to the show in any positive way.
Oh yeah.
There was another new character that I did really enjoy, but the two, Kyle, I'm sure you know the ones that I'm talking about. The younger new characters. I hated both of them so much, and they literally added nothing. And that really bums me out more than anything.
Right.
But enough about Stranger Things. Right before recording this, I literally am just now coming back from seeing Thor Ragnarok. So it's very fresh in my mind. I was really underwhelmed by it.
Bummer.
And I know, it really bums me out. And obviously, like, you're still going to go see it. People should still go see it if they were interested. Because they're, like, it's fun. But my fear of it was confirmed in that it's just trying too hard. Like, the comedy is forced. A lot of the, like, rad style that was present in the trailers feels a little forced in the movie, and kind of the story isn't particularly interesting. They do a really lazy storytelling cliche of like, here's this new villain, but she already has a pre-established relationship with a certain character that they didn't know about, and that's just like so cliche and lame.
Yeah, it's the lazy way of writing a new character in.
Yes, exactly. But it is still, like, a lot of the action is still good. For me, part of my disappointment is on Chris Hemsworth, which, like, I don't want to throw him totally under the bus because I think he does a fine job as Thor. And I've talked about this before, but I just don't really think he adds a ton. Like, Kelly and I were talking about it because she kind of felt the same way as I did with the movie, where it's just kind of a, like, about it. Like, that's my general reaction to this movie is But she likes Chris Hemsworth, and obviously the abs and the biceps, I'm sure help her like him.
Why not?
But for me, it's just, I don't know. He's certainly not bad. I just don't think he adds anything to the character.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And I feel
he
like
doesn't bring anything to Thor that someone else couldn't.
Absolutely. And like, I mean, I don't have any people in mind, but there are plenty of actors out there that I think would build on this character. Like, he delivers his lines, he does the comedy, he executes the action on a perfectly acceptable level, but like, that's disappointing though. Like, I don't know, with as much fucking money as these movies cost to make and they make in return, those huge celebrities, I expect more. When you look at someone like Robert Downey Jr. and what he did for this franchise and what he did for the Tony Stark Iron Man character, that character is who he is because of Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. Even Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury is who he is because of Samuel L. Jackson. Right. I totally don't feel that way whatsoever about Chris Hemsworth as Thor. It's not trying to, like, I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not trying to be mean about it. It just, I don't know. He is one of the least interesting Marvel heroes in my eyes. And I went into this movie hoping that would change because of the comedy they were going for, because of the style they were going for. And it just didn't really execute on that. So,
bummer.
Yeah, like I said, I would still recommend seeing it. It's not like it was a bad movie, but the quality of the Marvel films, that bar is so high in general that it just didn't quite reach that bar. It is certainly better than either of the previous Thor movies, but I actively hated The Dark World and found the first Thor to be mediocre. So it's not like a super high praise for me to say it's the best. But
sure.
I mean, it still is, though.
At
It
least
still
it's
is
the
the best of the three. Yeah. So, yeah, short thoughts on Thor. You're planning on seeing it, right?
Probably not in theaters. Well,
okay,
now that I know like how you feel about it, I probably won't go see it in theaters. I'll probably wait on it.
Yeah, and I always want to give a grain of salt with stuff I say because I know I'm a very harsh critic, but I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I certainly didn't go into the movie wanting to dislike it. I feel like that should be obvious from how we've been talking about it going up until now.
Right.
I'm more just disappointed than I would say like I didn't like it. I just, maybe my expectations were a little too high considering what had come before. I probably should have been a little more objective about it. However, before the movie, they showed that Black Panther trailer that we've talked about before,
Yeah.
and that movie still looks dope. I can't wait to watch that movie. And they showed the most recent Star Wars trailer before it as well, and literally I started tearing up watching it. Like, just, I can't handle my excitement for that movie, despite the fact that I was somewhat disappointed in Force Awakens because of the story, despite the fact that I really honestly didn't care for Rogue One in most capacities. I'm still just like over the moon excited for The Last Jedi. I can't even fucking handle it anymore.
I'm excited to watch Mark Hamill finally act again.
I know, dude. Ugh. I'm pumped. I'm so pumped. And he's gonna bring that like older grit to it that he has.
Oh yeah.
I'm super excited. It's gonna be good.
He's well seasoned now.
Oh yeah, he's got the old
Joker
guy
voice,
craggly face, those like wild, I've seen some shit eyes. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
So what about some like video game? Oh, and I should mention before we move on that I will also have a Thor Ragnarok review going up this week. So make sure you're checking out SheaHatesEverything.com. So what about video games? What kind of games have you been playing?
I beat Evil Within 2.
Okay.
I clocked in at around 23 hours.
Okay, because you were already really far into it when we talked last episode, yeah?
I was probably 10 hours into it last episode. So I was kind of right about the halfway point.
Okay.
I had stopped like right before I was going to be, or so I thought, going to be leaving this large area. And it turns out that there's a couple more pretty big-sized areas after that.
Sweet.
And I'm really disappointed because So apparently there's this Easter egg, because you go like, the way the game is structured is there are these big areas and they're connected with these like tunnel things, this separate marrow area, this underground bunker area. And so basically at the end of the game, you could go all the way back to the beginning and talk to the dude there. I didn't realize you could do that because I thought the path had closed, but apparently you can. It just takes like a long time to go all the way back through. But if you talk to him, there's this conversation where Sebastian, the main character, he's like, says something to the effect of, yeah, you need to like get out of here. And the guy's like, I don't want to go out there. There's evil out there. And then Sebastian goes, well, you know, there's evil within too. And then both of the character models look at the camera.
What?
Yeah, it's just
that is absurd.
This stupid Easter egg in this like in a horror, like a psychological horror game.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so disappointed I missed it. But thank you to the internet for showing it to me, anyways. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that game was really good. The ending was pretty drawn out. The ending sequence took way too long, like the talk, because it builds up this frenetic energy towards the end, and then it like glacially slows things down for these like moments between you and your wife that don't really work, because like, I mean, the game isn't written really well, the voice acting isn't a 10 out of 10, you know, so those moments don't hit the emotional peaks that they maybe could, and so it's like this frenetic pace, like boom, 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 and then there's this huge boss battle, and then boom, you hit this wall, and it's like, yeah, I love you so much. Really? I love you too. Yeah, we should probably get out of here, but let's talk about how much we love each other and miss each other, and like how we feel about the situation for a while. Ugh. And the writing isn't very good, so it's like bleh.
And this is after like you're done playing the game. This is like the final cutscenes.
Essentially,
oh, that makes it like, kind of even worse.
Yeah, there's still like a couple little things that it makes you do.
Yeah,
and also like you shouldn't have to do those things. Like you should be done playing it. They could do it in a cutscene, but I don't know. Overall, I really, really, really liked Evil Within 2. I want to do a New Game Plus and play through it again, get some more of the trophies, and because I unlocked a couple extra weapons and outfits and stuff for having beaten the game, similar to how Resident Evil 4 does it. So I want to like go back through and test out these new weapons and all this stuff.
Sure.
And kind of see how it feels to be super powerful out of the gate. And then like finish, because there are a couple like abilities that you get. You have to pump a lot of points, a lot of that green gel into them to get them. But one of them is, it takes stamina, but you can slow down time and then like really aim your shots and hit the enemies, and that totally changes how combat works. It's kind of a big deal, and I got that towards the end of the game, and that made the end of the game a lot easier. So it'd be cool to go back through and play these older boss battles and larger area segments with those abilities. So I do want to check that out.
Was that kind of thing in the first game, like abilities and stuff?
I can't remember how much of it was. It was like there was an upgrade tree that you were pumping green gel into. Okay. I don't recall if it had those types of abilities in it or not.
Yeah.
Also, in Evil Within 2, there's a fucking shooting range. Like, talk about Resident Evil 4. Like, there's in like the little office thing that you go back to where you upgrade and stuff. That like a shooting range opens up, and you can do that for like extra shit. Like, this game is so... it's Resident Evil 4 in all the ways that I appreciate.
Well, yeah, that definitely sounds like it would be a good thing for you, considering that's, like, your favorite game of all time.
Yeah, so...
Does it give you any reason to go back and play it again, other than, like, the new weapons and to play around with the abilities? Like, are there any choices in the game, or, like, things that you could do a different way that would encourage repeat playthroughs?
No, but there are collectibles and stuff that help flesh out that world, and so, like, I think I missed like one file, so I want to figure out where the fuck that file is, because that's bugging me, and I want to read it, because like the little thing they have crafted that you are inside of Matrix like is really interesting, and kind of their pseudoscience behind it that they sometimes delve into in those little side files and stuff. It's just it's neat.
Sure.
But yeah, I mainly just want to go back and have like a power trip through these areas that I struggled through early on. I think that would be the most fun. But yeah, that ending sequence took a while, so I'm not looking forward to going back through that. But yeah, overall, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. It's one that I'm glad I'm gonna keep on my shelf. And the reversible cover art is dope.
Nice.
I love it when games have good reversible cover art. Speaking of good reversible cover art, I started finally Nier Automata. I finally
and you've had it for a while.
I had it since release. I finally took the shrink wrap off and started it. So I thought, because Giant Bomb has been very cryptic about what goes on in that game, just talking about the multiple endings and stuff, but a lot of the specifics they're saving for Game of the Year conversations and deliberations. So I was operating under the impression that it was kind of a self-serious Japanese RPG type game with like active combat. It is not very self-serious. Like it.
Did you play the demo?
No.
Okay, see, because I played the demo, and I mean, it is like, a third-person action game with like shooting and crazy moves and all that kind of stuff. But it is like, I wouldn't say it's like, or at least the demo wasn't funny per se, but it is very like stylish, and it doesn't take itself seriously.
No,
I guess
it doesn't, which I thought it did. Like I thought it had something that it really wanted to say, and maybe it still does, because like I'm only like 6 hours into my first playthrough, my first ending, whatever. And that's the thing about Nier is like you have all these different new game pluses, and each one is a different ending, and it's different takes on the same story from different perspectives, and different things happen, and it's kind of fleshing out this world, which is an interesting storytelling idea. But so I'm like going along, I'm beating up all these robots and stuff, like killing animals for their hides and like getting crafting materials and all that, like pretty typical stuff. And like they're talking about this robot like army that aliens created or machines created or something, and like they're taking over the world, so we're like trying to fight back, and it's this resistance. And then I go on this mission. I'm out in this desert. It's this big, vast area, killing some robots. And then it's like, oh, you need to like go find this one, like tail it. So I tailed it into this like desert city, and it brought me back to this area where there were a bunch of robots fucking each other, and going like, oh yeah, like just going at it, and I had to kill all of these robots that were having sex, and then
Did you at least let them finish?
Some of them probably, but then they all like came together, and then this white goop falls down the middle, and like a humanoid cyborg comes out of it, and it's a boss battle. Like I'm fighting the child of all of these robots, and the two people you play as are like, what is going on? This should not be possible. And it's like this enemy that every time you bring its health bar down, it levels up and gains a new ability. And so it just keeps learning from how you're fighting it and becoming more powerful. And then eventually, you kill it, and then another one, like, sprouts out of that body, carries the body away, and, like, runs and is, like, super powerful. So I guess I'm gonna have to fight it later. But it was like this super. I thought. I had this perception of what I thought the game was, and it's just a bunch of robots doing it. Like, and the robots, they're like these little dome-shaped, portly, like R2-D2 stature robots with these tiny stubby arms and legs, and like they're kind of like cutesy, whatever. But they're all like going at it. It's ridiculous. And then like one of the next missions I went to was like this theme park that had been taken over by these robots, but they were all like dressed up as jesters and like throwing confetti, and there were like these giant tanks, and I was like, oh shit. But then like they roll out and they're covered in like lights and like paint and stuff, and they're also shooting big blasts of confetti.
Yeah.
And I was, what is this game even? And they were like,
Japanese, that's what.
Super Japanese. So I had no idea. Apparently I had no idea what the game was going to be like. But yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, this is selling me on giving it a shot.
It's pretty
Because none of that was really present in the demo.
Yeah.
Like, it's very over the top, and there's a particular boss battle that's like kind of funny. You're fighting like this big, looks like an oil rig that kind of comes
the big
to life.
crane thing.
Yeah, and there are like little funny moments in that fight, but nothing of what you're talking about.
Right. It's ridiculous, man. And they're
That's
like
awesome.
And then I found this village of robots that are like pacifists. Like they don't want to fight. They just want to live their life and be in peace. And there's this one robot who's like an Adonis for them. And there's all these like fangirl robots that are like trying to write letters to him, and you got to deliver the letters to him. Like,
wow.
I was like, what is going on, man? It reminds me of, because every now and then in Xenosaga, because in Xenosaga, like shit gets heavy, but every now and then there's like a character or two that break that and relieve some of that levity, or add levity to it. Is that?
Yes,
add levity. Thank you. It's brevity. What is brevity?
Like shortness.
Okay.
Like short wit. Brevity is the soul of wit, is the Shakespeare quote.
Okay. But yeah, so this feels like a game that is the opposite of that. So it's mostly that, and then the occasional like, oh yeah, we gotta save the world.
Right.
So it's really, really strange. But I started that, and also we both got our copies of Call of Duty World War II.
Fuck yeah, Call of Duty. XX Mad Leet 69 XX. Gonna shoot some noobs.
I saw someone with the PlayStation Network tag of XX ass underscore ass at underscore in ass in XX. It was pretty good.
We were talking about this the other day when we were playing, because like the only kind of shared world or multiplayer game that I play with any regularity is Destiny. And I think because in Destiny so much attention is paid to like the armor and the guns that other players have, I never look at anyone's gamer tag ever.
Right.
But in Call of Duty, everybody looks like a World War II soldier.
So you
and
look
so
at
you
the
just
gamer
see
tag.
that a lot. And like, and it shows, you know, the scores at the end of the game where you see everybody's tag and everything. And it's just like, it really makes me remember why I cannot stand online multiplayer shooters, because it's a bunch of either teenagers or, what's even worse, dudes my age that have been playing since they were teenagers.
And they can't change
so they
their
thought
name.
that ass in 69 was so hilarious back in the day. It's so lame.
Another one of my personal favorites, which we encountered last night while playing, was Spoots.
I mean, that one is good, though. I like that one. I enjoy Spoots.
But it's all Spoots. It's all caps. There's like 9 O's.
Yeah.
Spoots. I like that one.
That one I can get down with.
Yeah. If you're Spoots, hit me up, man.
So, actual game itself, Call of Duty World War II. I have beaten the first 2 missions, I believe, and each mission is like half an hour long, I would say. Yeah?
Yeah, depending on how you do. I played it on hardened.
Enough.
Are you on normal?
Oh, yeah, I'm playing on normal.
Okay, it took me a while on hardened. I was getting really frustrated.
But, so, I'm not far in. Did you end up beating it?
Yeah, I beat it.
Okay, and how many total missions were there?
11.
11 missions. Okay, so that, I still got a ways to go.
Yeah, it was like 5.5, 6 hours, which is pretty standard for Call of Duty
that
campaign.
Feels right. For my part, early on, like, there's certainly the spectacle that you would expect. There's certainly kind of like the World War II grittiness that you would expect. Nothing's really like jumped out or blown me away thus far. It feels fairly by the numbers.
Yeah.
You storm the beach at Normandy, and then you're killing Nazis, and there is a vehicle section, and then there's a part where you're on a machine gun, and you mow a bunch of guys down, and then there's a little part where you have to snipe some guys. Like, granted, all of that was in the first 2 missions, so there's like a good deal of variety of things you're doing, but it's like that shit has been in every Call of Duty game since the dawn of time.
Yeah, they're not doing anything new here.
Yeah. And so, for me, because I have been out of Call of Duty for a while, and especially like out of World War II in particular, like it's enough. I'm enjoying my time with it. Like, if I didn't have other stuff I needed to do today, I would happily, after we're done recording, I would happily jump back in and play for an hour. Like, it's certainly not a game where I would want to marathon the whole single player campaign, because there's just not enough to it. There's not enough meat, but like, it's a totally fun diversion, and I'm enjoying that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into specifics because you haven't finished it yet, but it tries for a couple of moments that it does not earn at all.
Sure, like from a storytelling perspective.
Correct.
Yeah, and like the characters are all pretty cliche as well thus far.
Yeah, a couple of them grow on you a little bit, but by the end, like, there are 5, maybe 6 characters that they want you to know the names for.
Yeah.
I could tell you the name of 2 of them.
I could name 2 right now. Zussman, who's kind of like your buddy.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the New Yorker, like, he's hip kind of guy. And then I think Pearson is
like
he's the
dude?
sergeant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's your sergeant. Because he's Josh Duhamel, or Josh Duhamel, however you pronounce his name. But I only can think of his name because the character looks like the actor.
Right.
And then I think the character you play as, at least at the beginning, it's Call of Duty, so he probably dies in like the first 4 missions. But I think his name's Daniels or Davis.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like a country Texas boy. Yeah. He narrates things. He's pretty generic and boring.
We were in World War II and we were fighting Zussman. Zussman's my buddy. We said till the end.
Yep. And then there's the guy who he's the nerd and he's a photographer. They call him College. I know that because he's smart, and when being smart in the 40s,
but that's
was not
not actually
cool.
His name.
No, it's not actually his name.
That's
what they call him. They call him College. Yes.
And I will say the only reason I know the characters' names is because I play with subtitles, and so it says the characters' names.
Ah, okay.
That's a good way to learn names in games if you need to, or shows.
Yeah. The only other character that's been in it is the lieutenant, but I could not begin to tell you his name.
I can't remember it either. I just beat it.
So, as far as the single player campaign goes, seems like it's perfectly fine, and you would say that it's perfectly fine, but it's not, and not that anybody is buying Call of Duty to play the single player campaign, but I wouldn't recommend buying it just to play the single player campaign.
Right.
At this point, I'm not sure I would also tell you that you should buy it for the multiplayer, because at least like right now we played for a couple hours on Saturday before you're hearing this, which was the day after the game came out, but there were a lot of connectivity issues in different ways too.
And it's confusing.
Like it just seems like it's very buggy, and because there's like the kind of social space, which like there is so much fucking Destiny in this game.
Oh my God.
It is crazy. But there's a big social space, which obviously is like the tower from Destiny, where you're kind of with a bunch of other characters who are all teabagging each other. But like it sometimes loads you into it, sometimes doesn't. And we were playing a bit of multiplayer together, and sometimes it would let you change your loadout in between. Sometimes it would just freeze on the score sheet until it loads you into another map.
Yep.
And when that happens, you can't even leave the lobby. It needs to wait until you're in the game. Yeah. So like, I'm assuming that there were a lot of problems, not that these are design choices of not letting you leave a lobby, although that seems like something Activision would do. Like, no, you're gonna live here forever. There's no stopping World War II.
Yeah, you have to buy the supply drops.
Yes, yeah, they're cards. A card that it's an epic card for leave the lobby. That's right. Single use, or you can pay $5.99.
Yep.
So like there are surprising amount of systems as well in the multiplayer. Like I found myself having, I played a shit ton of Call of Duty back in the day, and granted it's been probably 4 years since I really played a game, but like I know how Call of Duty works, how you make your character and all that kind of shit. I had no idea what was going on when we were loading into this. You and I, we after like the first couple matches, we loaded into the social space, and like you were trying to tell me a little bit like how the cards work, how you change things. I had no idea what you were talking about.
It's a little strange.
It seems so complicated for how casual 90% of Call of Duty players are. Although, to be fair, like, I would consider Call of Duty players to be casual, but I guess a lot of them are hardcore on Call of Duty.
Yes.
Like, that's the one game that they play.
Just
so
like
maybe
casual gamers are like the Madden or the FIFA players, but they play that game hardcore.
A ton. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I don't know. It's way too early for me to come back and say anything about like the classes or the weapons or even like the maps or those systems. The only thing that I can speak authoritatively on is saying like there's a lot going on up front.
Yeah, there is.
And like I still don't really know what a lot of the cards do. I unlocked a legendary grip and I couldn't find it afterwards. There are emotes. Like there's just a lot of stuff.
The grip. That stuff.
Yeah, tell me about the grip.
I think I have figured it out because there's this like crafting army RV that you can go to and talk to a dude, but that's not out yet. Like you can craft weapon skins and you can like upload weapon skins and you can craft weapons. So, but that says it's not available yet. So I think those grips and stuff that we're getting are for that. And we can't
so
even
you're getting
use
cards that you can't even what?
Yes.
Why?
I got a supply drop that was 3 grips and I couldn't use them.
I don't understand.
Yeah. And also
that seems so half-baked.
I know.
Like why would you release that when you can't even use it yet?
I know.
I don't know what the plan was for that or if there was one.
I don't know anymore, dude.
Well, from a pure like gameplay perspective, what do you think about the multiplayer so far? Because you played a little bit more than I have.
Yeah. The weapons feel really good. Once I'm in a match, like in a lobby, if I stick with it, I don't have any problems. I haven't had any connectivity issues there. Every now and then I'll get in a lobby where I feel like my connection to the lobby has killed me a couple times in a match. You know, like I'm losing firefights I should have won. Stuff like that.
And that's so variable too.
It is.
Because I know like those first couple matches that we played, I could tell that something was going on in the connection because like when I'm watching the kill cam, the dude who killed me is like stuttering all over the map.
Yeah.
And like in my screen, he was stuttering too. And it just makes it that much more obvious. But the longer we played, like a couple of the last matches, I was winning every single gunfight. And I wasn't playing any better than I was in the beginning. It's just because it happened to like my connection better.
Right.
That's how fickle these games are. And it like that's the frustrating thing about Call of Duty, and it always has been and it always will be until they do dedicated servers or something else. Like it's so connection dependent because you die like that.
Yeah.
Like you die in 4 shots max. There's just no way that you can overcome even a millisecond but being a millisecond behind the other guy. I don't know how that can be fun in a sustainable perspective, but those games still sell millions of copies, so clearly some people enjoy it.
Yeah, and people consistently play them for years on end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far. There are challenges, there are daily and weekly challenges that you get that give you like 20% XP bonus for 20 minutes of game time, or a supply drop, or a rare supply drop, depending on the difficulty of the challenge. And you have these like credits that you can use to purchase. All right, so oh my god, I'm gonna try to simply break this down. There's another thing.
20 minutes later.
I know. So you're getting these supply drops, and every now and then you get like a calling card, which is like the background of your emblem thing. The emblem, or like some other cosmetic thing. Like there are actually different outfits for the different divisions, which the different divisions are like basically a set. You level up divisions, and those divisions have set bonuses for types of weapons and play styles. So you like, if I want to use an SMG, I should probably have the division for that loadout be airborne because they get a suppressor on the SMG and they have increased sprint speed and stuff like that. There are other ones like for shotguns or LMG stuff. There's other divisions for that. So there are like different clothes sets for that specific division. So, and I just figured out how to do this finally. So I have a winter jacket for my like LMG class that I never use, but I got that from a supply drop, and it wasn't a legendary. It was a purple.
Oh yeah,
it was a purple winter
jacket. Perps. Mm-hmm. Get them perps.
That's right. And so there's this whole thing where almost every weapon has an epic version of that weapon that has a different skin. Like it's usually like black and gold, and it gives you like 10% extra XP on kills with that weapon. No different stats, nothing's different. It's just looks cool and gives you 10% extra XP.
I got one of those. Yeah. It was like in my second drop that I got. I got a legendary spud gun or whatever the hell the first submachine gun is.
Yeah, so you can...
What is it? It's like a garbage gun. What's it called?
Grease gun.
Grease gun.
Yeah. That's the one I use, which I'm really jealous you got that.
It looks dumb. Don't worry.
Yeah. It does look dumb. So you can get those rarely from actual drops, or...
No, you can get them epically.
Epically. That's right. From actual drops.
Rare is a whole other thing. Yes. You can get them rarely, legendarily, or epically. Or commonly. You can get a commonly one. Yeah.
Unlikely, but commonly. There's this whole breakdown. You can also earn those if you purchase with these special credits that you get from something. I don't even fucking know. You can buy them with real money, or you can earn them through something else with these credits. So you buy all of like the calling cards and emblems and skin stuff under this list, and then you get the epic version of a specific weapon. So like the one I want to use the M1 Garand. So the one I'm working on is the M1 Garand. So I have like one of the 7 requirements met for that. Now I can get some of those requirements from drops, or I can just purchase them with the credits. It's just, there's so much happening. And
that sounds terrible.
The really shitty thing right now is my current objective, because it takes you through like all the things you can do, and gives you rewards for them in headquarters. And my current objective is commend a fellow soldier, which you can, I think if you get a certain number of commendations from people in headquarters, then your like social skill goes up. And I don't know what the fuck a social skill is.
Like, what?
Dude, I know. They made Call of Duty an MMO. And but my objective is to commend a fellow soldier, except last night and this morning, I load into headquarters and there's nobody fucking there. There's no one. I can't commend a fellow soldier, so I can't progress this stupid like tutorial what you can do in headquarters thing because it's broken.
You're the only soldier left.
Yeah.
Like, good luck fighting the Germans. Yeah. Like, we all quit.
Just me and a bunch of NPCs that don't move.
Yeah, that just stand there.
Oh, man. But there's a gun range where you can test out the guns. There's a kill streak range where you can test out all the kill streaks because they are...
And that stuff's smart.
Yeah, that's smart. Like, that should be in there. There's a 1v1 arena that's pretty fun. Like, it's best of 3 or something. Or it's first person to 3 kills. And, like, one of my challenges for the day was win a 1v1 match without dying. So kill them 3 times without dying. And I died once. Oh, I was so mad.
Get good.
But, like, everyone else can watch that match happening. Because it's happening in real time. You queue up for it at a board, and then you can watch people play, like, from up on a hill. It's like, that's cool. You can head down into the sewers and then start the zombies thing. There's a theater... or you can start...
Yeah, I saw the theater.
The weird thing, though, is you can also start zombies just by hitting
from the
menu and selecting. Yeah, so I don't know why it's even down there. But there's a theater with like a projector, and the implication there is if they're having like MLG esport shit going on, like official streams, they'll be streaming them, so you can log into Call of Duty and watch the stream from your headquarters with your other Call of Duty friends. Yeah, like,
why the fuck would anyone do that?
So like, you just fucking hop on Discord, man, and watch it on Twitch. Like, I don't know why you would do that.
That's so weird.
I'm wondering if they're gonna like give out stuff to people who are there watching it. Possibly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what the point is, but I guess it's to keep people in the ecosystem.
Right, it keeps you in the game playing.
Keep those concurrent users up.
Yeah, and
keep them logged into COD.
Also, all these supply drops, you actually call them in the headquarters, and then people can watch and see what you get from the supply drop. And if you watch people open supply drops, you get social skill points.
Wait, seriously?
I'm serious.
What? Dude, what is this game?
I still don't know what the social skills do. I don't know what the
when do you shoot guys? Like,
dude, I don't know what's happening.
So they reward you for watching other players who you don't know. Get cards pop up. Oh, I got a legendary emote.
Yep.
Yeehaw.
Oh, yeah. Also, there are emotes.
Yep.
Which you can do after
I've unlocked
matches.
like 4 of them already. They're so dumb.
Yep, they're pretty freaking stupid. It's really weird. Like, they took all of the social parts of Destiny and just slapped it into Call of Duty. It's bizarre. Yeah. And it's also like not functioning right now. And it's 3 days after release when we're recording this. So it's like, come on, man. I don't know. It's strange. It's very strange. But like the actual like playing the game is fun. I'm having fun playing the game, and as bizarre as all this stuff is, it's still fun to like laugh about and be puzzled at, because it's
it's definitely it's weird in a mostly fun way right now. We'll see if that continues.
Yeah. But like, you know, as homogenous as Call of Duty has been, this is like a really big change in terms of the back end stuff. Like not the actual playing of Call of Duty, but all the other stuff you do while the disc is in your system. So like that's like they're trying, man. They're trying stuff.
Absolutely, they're definitely trying. It's like the Sledgehammer team hung out with the Bungie team for a couple of weeks and just literally stole all of the ideas from Destiny. Like, there's nothing really new to shared online shooters in this, but certainly a lot of stuff that's new to Call of Duty.
Yeah. But yeah, like you and I, we still need to play zombies. There's a separate co-op campaign,
right?
Specifically for co-op. So like you and I need to play that still. So there's still a bunch of content that you and I haven't seen yet or engaged with. But yeah, so, I mean, and that stuff will be fun for us to play together. And I still like, I played solo last night and this morning, and I got mad like once, but then I just kind of like took a deep breath. And also all the like daily challenges and stuff, they're making me play different game modes that I wouldn't normally, like, because normally I would just be TDM or kill confirmed over and over and over and over and over again. But now these challenges have me trying out different game modes, like Gridiron, where you have a ball and you're trying to like score at the other people's goals.
Okay, yeah, that's been in previous Call of Duty.
Yeah, like I have never played that before. Like I've never engaged with it. Like when I played Modern Warfare 2 or 3 or whatever, I did bare bones classic whatever. Like, so no kill streaks, just guns. Like that was my favorite thing to do, and that's all I did. And so this is like, I'm now experiencing more of what they have to offer, and I might not opt for doing that normally, but it's at least switching up the monotony of the same thing over and over. Yeah. And I've only found like there's only one map so far that I really actively dislike, and it's only a certain part of that map. So when I play that map, I just don't go in that part of it, and then I do fine still.
The maps seem to be pretty small in general. Like, granted, it's been years since I've played Call of Duty, so maybe this has been the trend. But at least when I was playing, you know, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops, there were at least a couple, like, huge maps.
There are.
Where it was really good to be, you know, assault rifles and snipers. There are actual snipers, not fucking quickscope.
That's one of the maps I'm talking about, because I primarily play SMG class, That's what I kind of always do default to. So like those are not good maps for me. But there are totally 2 or 3 that are like that.
Okay, that's better. Because at least when we were playing, I mean, we did kind of get the same maps over and over, like 3 or 4 different ones.
Yeah, we did.
But they all felt pretty small, or at least a lot of closed corridors.
Yeah.
The maps might have been big, but like the lanes, there weren't a lot of long sight lines.
Yeah, and there's one specifically I'm thinking of that has, it's like small buildings around the perimeter, but the whole middle section of the map is really open.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so there's definitely, that's a map for other people. Also, fucking quick scoping is back with I don't know, I can't think of words.
Back with the fart.
Back with it. Yep, a wet
back
fart.
Back with the tea bag.
This is how the quick scope. This is how Call of Duty ends, not with a quick scope, but with a whimper.
But with a Mountain Dew shot. Doritos.
20% XP bonus for 7 days.
Acne.
XX.
Back with a locked in the basement.
Ass.
Back with a you're grounded. I don't know. So yeah, what? I don't know. Talking about Call of Duty this long makes me unhappy. I did have fun playing yesterday though. Like the single player, I had fun-ish. I was enjoying myself. And then when we played, it took me back to the day where I was just angry all the time playing multiplayer shooters, but it was also fun playing. Yeah. I doubt I will play a ton of multiplayer by myself. That's just not how I want to spend my time, but I'm sure we'll play plenty. And I am excited to play through at least like the co-op campaign and try zombies and stuff out. So
yeah, there
will be more Call of Duty talk in the future, which take that or leave it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame you for unsubscribing after that news. So I played some more South Park, Fractured But Whole.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only other thing that I would add to what I already said about it, I continue to be impressed with the intricacy and the scope of like the story, because, and this was true of Stick of Truth as well, like there aren't a ton of side quests,
right?
And there isn't a ton, like it's not a huge map, there's not really grinding or anything to pad out the time. Like most of the time you're playing the game, you're progressing the main story.
Okay.
And it's still really long and like really intricate's a weird word, but like it's good. There's a lot of shit going on and a lot of like fun interactions, and that like really blows me away about this kind of game, because a typical JRPG, which this is obviously modeled after, you have all these little side quests that you can do or not, and those add a lot to the experience and to the runtime. But the core story, like you go through however many locations, however many missions, and then there's like that big gap where you're prepping for the final boss, and then there's the final boss that he has 6 different versions, and then that's the end of the game. Like there's not like a huge, long, expansive through line throughout. And this does have that, which I really like, because like I've played for, I don't know how long I've played, 8 to 10 hours probably so far. I haven't even seen Stan yet.
Oh, wow.
Like, and so I imagine I'm probably not even at the halfway of the game. Like the big turn hasn't happened yet. It's still setting up the fake mystery of whatever else is going on outside of their little superhero game.
Right.
And so like that excites me, and I'm still greatly enjoying it. And I don't think I was at this point when we talked about it last, but I did get to the point where I got to choose a second set of powers.
Oh.
So like because I picked the blaster, I think it was. So I'm like the fire throwing guy.
Okay.
The DPS guy. And so I got a second set of powers where I could choose different forms of that. I don't remember all of them specifically, but the one that I chose is like Elementalist. So it added an attack that does ice. It added an electricity attack. It added a ground attack. And then it added like a water healing attack thing.
Oh, cool.
And so like you have your 3 attacks plus your super plus the new 3 attacks and the new super. And you can mix and match whichever ones you want. And so that like, it makes me feel a little bit more, like it's my defined character. And there are so many different costumes and stuff that like almost every, story beat that I go through, I completely change out my costume. And it's all totally, what's the word? Like, it doesn't have any bearing on the gameplay.
It's all cosmetic, yeah.
Cosmetic, that's the word. And so, like, you do whatever you want. You're not min-maxing any gear or anything like that in terms of your costume. So that makes it really fun to go in and change the colors. And I found one secret costume that was, you know, the cop, like the redheaded cop in South Park.
Yeah.
Not Officer Barbrady, but he's like a detective. And there's one episode where like he goes undercover as a prostitute. And so he's wearing like a red sequiny dress and long blonde hair, but he still has like his beard and it's really gross. I unlocked that costume. And so I played for a while with the like red sequiny dress and the blonde hair. I gave myself a 5 o'clock shadow. So like just doing that kind of silly stuff is really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still really enjoying the game. I would say like it's not jumping out in my mind the way the first one did, because that was such a pleasant surprise with how faithful it was to South Park. And this is more, it's just more of that. But I'm still really enjoying it. It is weird because a lot of this game has more references to recent South Park, and so that stuff I'm not getting.
Right.
Because I haven't watched it regularly in like 5+ years.
Me neither.
So like there are these little collectibles. They look like little raisins, but they talk like this. Like, it's all about like, oh, do you remember this thing? I remember that. Like that's what they do. And I've never seen that episode, so the first one that I found, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Does it make you want to go watch current South Park?
Not really, because it's not that funny of a bit.
Okay.
But there was another one of an episode I haven't seen where it's like this dude he's like the social justice warrior. And so he's like a cop that's all about social justice. And so there's a boss battle with him about microaggressions. And it's pretty fucking good because you walk in and he like tests you. And so he's like, fight me back when I throw out a microaggression. And it'll be like, he'll say like, that's a nice outfit you're wearing. And if you attack him, he hits you back. It's like, no, that wasn't a microaggression. I was just complimenting you. And then it'll be like, it must be nice to not have to worry about doing your hair with hair like that. And then you hit him and he's like, yeah, that was a microaggression. It's clearly like derivative of what, like making fun of bald people or what. It's dumb shit. Like, but it's very fun and done in the like anime combat style that they use in these games, where there's like the quick cuts and like you have like the crazy bright colored lines behind guys as they attack and all of that. It just makes everything a lot more fun. And I also had a boss battle against the Raisins girls.
Combat, then? Do like
no,
other enemies do microaggressions?
Not the microaggressions. There is a little side quest that he says like, once you catch 10 microaggressions, come back and I'll teach you whatever else. I haven't gone back and done it yet, but you fight a lot of 6th graders, and so they throw a lot of insults at you, and so you can catch them for microaggressions. And then the dude comes in and like you do a special attack. It's really good. And also, I mean, I could talk about this game forever, but only other thing that I will add that I really, really love. Scott Malkinson is in this game, the kid with diabetes, and so he's one of the superheroes, and he is Captain Diabetes, and so there's a special attack that you do that helps you. It's not like it's inspired by Metroid, where like you learn new abilities that let you unlock new areas, and there's one with him that he can, because he's like a strength guy, and so anything that has like a green bottom to it, he can like flip and then like, let you pass through. And so his whole thing, his super is he eats a bunch of sugar and then goes into a diabetic rage and like punches the thing, and then he crashes, so he has to give himself an insulin shot. Otherwise he like has an aneurysm. It's good. It's really good. If you like South Park, this is certainly a video game that you should play. Yeah. I'm very much enjoying it. And now after talking about it, I want to go play some more South Park. So what else? Anything else that you've been like watching or playing through?
So I'm almost done with Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, and it is not any better. Okay. I would actually say it is worse. And Kara and I, just last night, we marathoned the entire first season of Mindhunter, which was...
Kelly and I want to watch that. We just haven't had time to start it.
So very good.
It looks cool.
Like, there are... I liked it because the show, in the first episode, Kara and I were like, okay, we're not really sure, like, what it's about. Like, what are they going to be going for? Is it going to be, like, this weird serialized thing? Or, like, is this the format they're going to go with? And it kind of it makes itself a little bit more clear in the second episode. But I would say there are a couple of, like, the thing that's interesting about the show is what the show is about at its core, but some of the stuff that happens around the edges of it to, like, flesh out character stuff, I did not enjoy.
Okay.
But I did really like the core of the show, and that kept us going and kept the momentum. Like, I mean, we watched the whole first season. I think it was 10 episodes. Yeah, it was 10 episodes, 45-minute. So, I mean, we marathon the whole thing. We were up till like 4 a.m. And finished it.
I love shows like that. Yeah,
so I highly recommend it. I thought it was very good. They have a good cast, and it's written well, and there's a lot of stuff that the questions they pose are questions I've had myself before, and I've had conversations with people about, and so it's cool to see those conversations happen with those characters, and so I would recommend it. It's all about, like, the psychology of criminals and like serial killers and stuff.
Kelly loves that shit.
Yeah.
Like, because her job, she doesn't have to pay that much attention, and so she listens to podcasts all day long, and she loves listening to all these, like, murderer podcasts. Yeah. So she's really, really been looking forward to Mindhunter.
It's fascinating.
Have to prioritize that.
It really is. Yeah, it's very cool. So yeah, I think that's kind of it on my end. Is there anything else for you?
Yeah, the only quick things I did want to mention, because I've talked about these already, but we are continuing to watch The Leftovers. We just started season 3 last night. So I know last time I checked in, the intro to season 2 was really weird because it was like a completely new setting, and they introduced a whole new family. All of that stuff I thought wrapped up pretty well. They integrated it well. The show is getting a bit up its own ass, much in the way that, like, Lost did, where they kind of are, like, they just want to keep you in the dark on everything. Yeah. And a lot of it feels like lazy writing, because now that we've started season 3 takes place 3 years after season 2. And so it's just like, season 1 begins where it's introducing you to this world, and you're slowly getting pieces about it and learning about the characters. And then, like, there's a big climax and a resolution, and that's the end of the season. And then, rather than what a normal show would do is introducing some new pieces but building on that resolution, season 2 was just like, oh no, now we're just like a year later, new setting, new characters, here's a new mystery. And so they kind of build towards that. Things come together. There's a big climax, a little bit of a resolution, a bit of a cliffhanger, and then that season ends. And now we're in season 3, and now it's 3 years in the future, and there are new relationships. There aren't a ton of new characters, but they all have different, because, like, a bunch of shit has happened in that 3 years. So now we're just going to dangle the little breadcrumbs of, like, what happened to make them the way they are. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just kind of shitty storytelling, because it's not about creating a story. It's about how can we undermine what you know about these characters through really contrived means.
Okay.
So that, I mean, it's kind of annoying. We're only 2 episodes in. I think the 3rd season's shorter, though. I think it's only like 8 episodes. So our goal is to finish it before our HBO Now renews, like mid-November. So we're going to marathon through it. But I don't know. I'm feeling pretty down on excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Feeling pretty down on the season so far, but the 2nd season did come together, even though I was kind of, like, bewildered by the beginning. So I'm willing to stick it out. I'm glad, though, that the show ends after season 3, because if they just continued this path, much the same as they did with Lost, the show would become, like, absurd in a very bad way, like Lost did. Yeah. So I'm glad they at least kept it short. Also, I've been continuing to watch Vice Principals, which I was also happy to learn that the current season 2 is the final season. Not that I'm not enjoying the show, I am, but there are just so many things that I'm trying to watch that, like, this was really high on my priority list because I really love Danny McBride. I really liked Eastbound and Down, his previous show that he worked on with the same creator of Vice Principals. I absolutely adore Walton Goggins, who's the second lead in this. So I really wanted to watch it, but there's so much stuff I want to watch that I'm glad I can check this off. It's still very funny. The show has a lot more heart than I would have anticipated. They kind of started building towards that towards the end of season 1, like actually trying to make you care about the characters and their relationships. It's not always super successful at it, but it's interesting that they try. Because Danny McBride, like as an actor, he's hilarious, but he's so crass and kind of like abrasive that he's not likable. Like his characters are not likable.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. And it's the creator. I'm missing his name, but the creator of Eastbound and Down and this, that is writing partners with Danny McBride a lot. He keeps trying to like make Danny McBride's characters likable, and it just doesn't work. It's bizarre choice, I guess. But bring those two up because I also have reviews of the most recent seasons on my website, so check those out if you have seen them or are interested. The only last thing that I would say before I move on to some news, because there's a lot of it to talk about, I joined a clan in Destiny 2, so I haven't really been playing much Destiny 2, but I was bored one day and I was just looking at the clans, and so I went ahead and joined one. You get like a lot of free shit for joining a clan, even if you don't do anything. Because I play maybe an hour a week. Like if I get bored, I'll pop it in on a weekend. But I'm not playing regularly whatsoever. And
you're just getting powerful gear from the clan stuff?
Yeah. Because I'm in a clan, like every week you can earn a piece of powerful gear by just like doing public events and strikes. You build up your percentage and then you can get a piece of powerful gear. But if your clan reaches certain thresholds in other areas, you also get powerful gear. So like I get a piece of powerful gear whenever someone in my clan, I only get one, but whenever someone beats the raid, I get a piece of raid gear. And then whenever someone beats a nightfall, I get a piece of powerful gear. There are a couple other ones. So like every time I log in, I get like every time I log in, which is once a week, I get like 4 or 5 items. So I have like 2 guns that are from the raid, and I have never touched the raid. So it's pretty cool to reward people for being in clans. Sure. So even if you're only playing every once in a while, I definitely recommend joining a clan because you'll get some free shit. Maybe I just got lucky because I joined a clan that's like was almost full, so there are a lot of people in there.
That helps.
I'm sure if you join a clan with like 5 people, you probably wouldn't be getting it. But anywho, so major news for us to talk about this week is from the Paris Games Week. And Sony had a press conference. There wasn't like a ton of new stuff that's newsworthy, but I did want to go through because they obviously had their press conference and they showed off a bunch of new trailers. So I just wanted to touch on these briefly. I was honestly surprised, and I didn't watch a lot of this because I don't care, but I was surprised how much PSVR stuff there was. Did you watch any of the like VR trailers for new games?
So that was like before their panel, right? Or they had like
sure.
Yeah, they had this thing like before they got all the VR stuff out of the way. Honestly, right. I don't remember a lot of what was shown. I think a lot of what was shown was stuff that's already out, and they were just like, and like a couple things were getting updates. I think, I think several of the games like Farpoint and stuff like that are already out, and they were showing like this. It's Resident Evil 7. Like final edition whatever thing that has all the DLC and yada yada. But yeah, I think a few of the titles they showed are currently released. So I mean, it's just like whatever, man. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna invest in PSVR.
Certainly not.
No way.
It was more just wanted to make mention, and I guess the fact that a lot of that stuff's already out undermines my point a little bit, but I was just pleasantly surprised with how many VR games that they showed off there.
Yeah, but like it was before their press conference proper.
Not specifically to the press conference. It's just about like that they seem to be still investing money in crereating software for PSVR.
There's a new version of PSVR coming out. Like an updated headset is coming out.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like it allows a few different things that the current thing doesn't. Like there's like, I think the current one had problems with certain like HDMI pass-through stuff, like recording wise, recording footage wise. I think it had some issues. There were a few different things. I can't remember all the different changes on it. You'd have to go look it up. But I know there are like a few quality of life improvements on the new headset model. And so I think that's why they pushed it. It's just to be like, hey, we're updating the headset and here are games that are out, games that are getting updates, and a couple games that have yet to be released. So I think that's what the purpose of that segment was. But I bet at E3 this coming year, we hardly see any VR anything. I bet we see a sizzle reel.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I think Sony's already
You think this is like the last gasp?
Well, for PlayStation VR, maybe. I mean, unless they have a lineup that they want to show. I mean, until then, it's like, I mean, there isn't much. I mean, because
that's too bad.
Yeah, I agree. It is too bad. I mean, there are some games that, you know, they trickle out every now and then for like stuff on the PC, like the Rift and the Vive. But PSVR, from what I can tell, hasn't had much in a while. So I think it, and then, you know, that's on Sony, right? You know, they needed to be on that. I mean, in terms of PC, there are still some experiences that I want to try of games I don't have yet, and I'm just kind of waiting for stuff to go on sale. Probably for the holiday sale, I'll pick up a couple things this year on Steam. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of VR, like I'm not opting to play games I could play in non-VR in VR. I want to get games specifically tailored for that experience,
sure.
And it's been a slow trickle. I'm still glad I got the headset because now I have it. And there are like
in case it ever does take off, you already have one,
right? And like there are a couple games coming down the pipe that I'm excited for, but you know, I would not invest in another VR headset.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
There's zero chance of that happening.
So beyond the VR stuff, because obviously that wasn't the big focus, I found there to be a disappointing lack of new announcements, but kind of the standout new announcement, I think, was Ghost of Tsushima, which I think is how you pronounce it, which is the new Sucker Punch game. Not a ton like to go off of from the trailer. Obviously, it takes place in like feudal Japan, at least it seems like, a lot of samurais, that kind of thing. I think probably safe to assume that it's like a third-person action game, semi-open world, and I'm just going from Sucker Punch's previous games in the Infamous franchise. But like it looks cool to me. Definitely a setting that was unexpected from Sucker Punch. So I'm excited to see kind of how they do that. And I thought for all of Infamous's flaws, I think that their world building has been pretty good. And so I'm excited to see kind of what form this takes.
Yeah, they definitely improved on their world building through the Infamous franchise. Yes.
And I really liked Second Son. I didn't really care for the first game. Thought the second one was a better version of the first game. But I actually really liked Second Son. But like it's not like a perfect game by any means. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see, at least to see more of this and see some actual gameplay and what that flow will be. Because, you know, their most recent games, you've had superpowers. And so this one, presumably, you don't. So I'm curious to see kind of what direction they take that.
Yeah.
Other new announcements, there is going to be a Spelunky 2. Are you a Spelunky fan?
No, I don't. I'm not into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against the game. I think I must have gotten it on Steam or something at some point because I've played it before, but just a little bit, and I was, just kind of like, But hey, a lot of people love Spelunky.
Yeah,
so
people are
cool
going to be
making
crazy about
one.
that.
The sequel I am more looking forward to is Guacamelee 2. Hell yeah! I fucking can't wait for Guacamelee 2. I'm so glad that they're making a Guacamelee 2. I know the first one did well critically and commercially, but after that game, Drinkbox went and made that PS Vita game, Severed, which I'm sure sold 1,000 copies because no one owns a damn PS Vita. It was such a weird decision.
I think it was also on mobile.
I think you're right. I think it might have came to mobile afterwards.
Yeah.
That could work on mobile. It's a lot of like screen swiping and stuff like that. Yeah. But Guacamelee 2 looks really good. It looks like there's 4-player co-op. There's like a little shot in the trailer where there are 4 characters. So I don't know. That's a guess, but I would think so. But the bigger thing to me is like it looks so smooth as the kind of because the colors were always really bright in that game. But that game came out in like I think 2013 maybe. It was on PS3. It might have even been 2012. But hell, it might have even been before that. I don't remember. But it was on PS3. So to see it running on a PS4 like that, it just looks so much smoother, so much brighter. So I'm down for like a modern generation Guacamelee game for sure.
Yeah, I only ever played like a couple hours of the first one.
It's super hard, and I don't typically like really hard games. The bosses especially were brutal. But it is like a Metroidvania style, and I think it was like the style and the humor and kind of the setting of it really grabbed me, and I loved it. Was one of my favorite games.
I think that year it was in Giant Bomb's deliberations for best style.
Yeah, probably.
I think I remember Dan Reichert talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it made my personal top 10 that year. I'm definitely a big fan.
Yeah.
And then we got some trailers on stuff we already knew about. Although I guess briefly touch on the new Destiny DLC, Curse of Osiris. They showed a trailer for that. Comes out on December 5th. To me, I mean, it seems like more Destiny 2, which it shouldn't be unexpected, considering I'm sure they were working on this DLC as they were still making Destiny 2. A lot of cool-looking armor. I'll throw that out. There was some cool-looking armor.
What I got from that trailer was, here's some armor you're probably going to want because it looks cool.
Yeah. It takes place on Mercury, which is a new setting for Destiny 2. It was in Destiny 1, but a new setting for Destiny 2. And I think there are like some multiplayer maps on Mercury, but a lot of like floating structures and stuff. So like visually it looks cool. It's just like from a story perspective, I mean, the like mythos and lore of Destiny has always been more interesting in theory than in practice. So I can't say that like learning more about the character of Osiris and him fighting the Vex. And like in the trailer, apparently he's in the Vault of Glass, which was the original Destiny raid. Like I was watching a video about it and the guy's talking about it. I was just like, I don't really give a shit about fucking any of this. But it is only $20. So depending on what happens, I may be curious enough to pick it up, but probably not. But I don't have that much time to think about it because it comes out on December 5th. But other games that we already knew about. New gameplay trailer for God of War, which was pretty dope. Did you have any feelings about it?
I think they need a slider that you can turn down to 0, and it is Kratos' son's chatter. it just needs to go away. Because God of War, it's
talked a lot.
Like been brutal. Like you're messing dudes up, and the whole time he's like, "Yeah, get him, Dad." Oh yeah, I got him pinned down.
Obnoxious.
Oh yeah, like shut up, kid. Are you kidding me?
I'm with you.
There needs to be a slider. You can just like on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's like way too much. In the middle, it's like he should probably still shut up, and then down at the bottom, it's like blissful peace.
It's like all the audio sliders.
Yeah.
There's like SFX. Narration, music, kid talking. Yep. Like you put that at 0 or like 1. Yeah, I'm with you. The actual gameplay though, like, and
it looks good.
You know, it's not like any different than gameplay trailers we've seen of the game in the past, but it does. It looks sick. Yeah. It's a lot of that over the top action. I like the kind of the over the shoulder camera perspective. It's very different. Yeah, it's very different than previous God of War games, and I like that. It feels more modern, so that seems like a smart change. And just kind of the grit, it definitely seems like it's more of a grounded story with the father and son aspect. More realistic's not the word, but it's more about the characters than it is like these gods and all this other random shit. So I'm excited to see where that goes and if they can pull off the more serious tone.
Yeah, me too.
How about Detroit Become Human? So they showed a new trailer of that with not a new character. We've seen the character before, but like a new setting.
So like the initial stuff I saw on Detroit where they were like, oh, you do this and it like turns up the bad meter. Like that stuff was not, I was like, this is pretty stupid. This is dumb. But then like this new gameplay trailer showing how all of that stuff is in practice, like practically, and showing all the different ways that situations can play out. Like that's what I really liked about his games before with Indigo Prophecy, and I never played the one with Ellen Page, but what was that? Beyond Two Souls. I never played that one, but I did. I really enjoyed Heavy Rain. So like that's what I like about those games is like the choice and how it all culminates. And how the kind of the butterfly effect that it can have, and it seems like that's a lot of this, this game is a lot of that. So I'm tempering my expectations, but I'm excited about it, and I know like he probably, The game, it'll deal with a lot of heady issues, and it might not do all of those. It might not handle all of those in the best way.
Yeah.
But also, I'm a cis white male, so I can still enjoy that stuff. And, like, I've had a nice life, so I can still enjoy that stuff, and I can't... Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, this is deeply offensive to me, and, you know, this really bugs me, because, like, I don't have those experiences to draw from and hold up to that lens, you know? I'm sure some people are going to be real pissed off about this game, but I'll probably find a way to enjoy it.
There just doesn't look like there's that much to it to me, like from a gameplay perspective. And I know that's that's not what Quantic Dream does. They do more of the cinematic thing, but I was hoping, I guess, because this game has all these different characters and kind of the hook is rewinding time and like redoing these interactions, that at least seemed interesting. Probably not enough to make me like, oh, I definitely want to play it, but at least to get my interest peaked. But after watching this, it just seems all like it's just so on the nose. Like there's no subtlety to it, which I would also argue subtlety is not a David Cage strong suit in the first place. So I don't know. This, while other trailers have gotten me intrigued, this one kind of had the opposite effect, where I was like, this is just more of his shtick, where there's a lot of melodrama and you're not really doing anything when you're playing the game, and that's just, I don't know. His writing isn't good enough to carry that for me. I just feel like there are other games that do the minimalist gameplay style with better writing and tone. So, I don't know. I'm pretty apathetic towards this game at the moment, but maybe if they show off, like, actual gameplay, not like a gameplay trailer, but like an actual gameplay demo, that there's a little more involvement and player agency. Like
that's what they did with Heavy Rain.
Press triangle to kill him, press square to run away. Like, if those were really the options, no, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah. And also, like, a big part of his games are like the tech demo-y feel, where it's, you know, impressive visual and technical prowess. And so that kind of goes along with what I like in those games, is like I like looking at stuff and like seeing all the work they put into it. But yeah, so you know, I'm sure I'll pick it up and play it and find a way to enjoy it where other people may not be able to because of subject matter.
So what did you think of the new Spider-Man trailer?
I don't give a shit about that game. I do not care about the Spider-Man game whatsoever. It does not look fun to play. It looks like QuickTime Event the game, which, ironic after just talking about Detroit Become Human, because that is the definition of QuickTime Event the game. But like this, I don't know what is so different about, but like between those two things. But okay, maybe the difference is, because I've talked about this before, I like seeing developers try really hard and like see their effort come through.
You respect the ambition.
Yes, I respect the ambition, if not the final product.
Sure.
In this, like, it's Spider-Man, whatever. Like, I like Spider-Man comics. Some of the movies are fun. Spider-Man 2 was a fine game, but other than that, in my personal opinion, there have been no other good Spider-Man games.
Edge of Shadow was okay. Shattered Dimensions was pretty good. None of them have been amazing since Spider-Man 2.
I just feel like they're beat-em-ups that they don't feel good to play because the way he moves is so, like, I don't know how you get the controls right on that, because he is supposed to be, he's fast and he's everywhere. He can be on any surface. He has this huge repertoire of moves, and like there's no really good way to go about mapping those kinds of things.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, the combat that we saw, which this trailer was more of a story trailer, and honestly, this trailer didn't do anything for me whatsoever. It definitely seems like Mr. Negative is the main villain, which, like, I'm okay with that. He's like a D-tier villain, so I kind of like that they're focusing on him. I thought the music in the trailer was actually pretty terrible, very generic, but the trailer on the whole didn't do anything. It's more just like, I'm still excited for the game. The gameplay demo that they showed at E3, I liked. The combat definitely seems like style over substance. It's very influenced by that like Batman Arkham style combat, where like it's a lot of
counters
QTEs
and,
basically, as you're playing. But the kind of visceral speed of it is engaging to me. And granted, I haven't played it. It might not translate, but at least it looks like seeing Harry's excited about it.
Yeah, my dog's barking up a storm.
But yeah, like it seems engaging enough to me. I'm surprised that you really don't care about it, because I know like you like Spider-Man as a character.
I do. I think I would just rather read about him.
That's fair. And part of it for me is like I have faith in Insomniac. I know not everything they've done has been stellar, but I think that they get they understand movement in their games. I think that Ratchet and Clank was always good at it. By all accounts, their most recent Xbox exclusive, what the hell was that game called?
Oh,
Sunset Overdrive got that movement right. So I think that can translate to Spider-Man, but obviously we'll see. Last one, touch on quickly before the big one. Shadow of the Colossus trailer. The trailer was like just like the beginning of the game. It seemed totally pointless. Like, it looks beautiful. The graphical improvements they made. Yeah, like it looks good, but the trailer seemed completely pointless. It's just the boy riding on Epona. Or is it Epona? Sure, yes, Epona's Zelda. Yeah. Yes, riding his horse up. Yeah. So the trailer didn't do anything for me, but the graphical upgrade definitely looks pretty, and I didn't think I would want to play this when it comes out, but I do now. And not because of the trailer, but just like the reminder of it. Like, I loved Shadow of the Colossus. Totally. And I tried to play it when they did the remake on PS3, and the controls were just as bad as they were from the original. So if reviews come out and they update the camera and the controls and that feels better to play, I'm totally going to play through this again.
Yeah, because visually, I don't care. Like, the PlayStation 2 version is still beautiful. Like, it's still a good-looking game, and you can get what you need out of it. But, yeah, if it controls better, then I might consider picking this up. Yeah, I agree with you.
Right. Actually, there was one other little piece that I forgot about. There was a little brief teaser for Horizon Frozen Wilds, which that actually comes out on December 7th. So it'll be out close to when you're listening to this, probably. I already purchased it. As I told the story before, I purchased it like 6 months ago when it was announced, because I didn't realize it was coming out
December 7th,
far
right?
away. No, I think it's November 7th.
You said December.
Yeah, I think. Oh no, yeah, I think it's November. I think it comes out on Tuesday of this week.
Oh, okay.
I believe that's what I wrote down. But yeah, I'm really excited, and it doesn't look like it's adding a ton of new stuff. Like, there is a new enemy, and obviously it's in a frozen area, and I'm sure there will be some new characters and stuff. It doesn't look like it's adding a ton of new things to it, but it's a new reason to go back and play some more Horizon Zero Dawn, which, like, I'm fine with that. I fucking loved that game, and then totally, like, when I finished it, I was totally done because I did all of the side stuff I wanted to do, but I knew that Frozen Wilds would be a perfect time for me to come back, and it is. I'm excited to come back to it, so excited for that. But obviously the big one, which has been all over the internet, people coming down on either side of the fence about this trailer, was Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
So obviously a very intense trailer.
Very.
It's not even really a trailer. It was more just like, seems like it's a
scene
from the game. Yeah, cutscene. It's not interactive in any way. At least in the trailer, it wasn't interactive. A lot of theorizing about this, but the thing that I wanted to talk about first, a lot of people came down and like hated this trailer. Like, thought it was too gruesome, like violent. It was like overly violent, and my thing was like, Did you guys play the first game? Like,
and
that's
also in a world where Game of Thrones is one of the most popular television franchises of all time, fuck off.
It seemed like a weird complaint, for sure.
Yeah. It's just people like, wanting to find something to be upset about this week.
Yep, I agree. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, because I have always been of the mind that when they announced Last of Us Part 2, I was like, obviously, I'm going to play it. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but I wish it didn't exist. Like, The Last of Us was such a perfectly self-contained story with, like, one of the best endings of any piece of entertainment medium I have ever seen.
Yes.
Video games, movies, comics, TV shows. Like, it is one of the best endings I have seen in my entire life. I loved it. And I didn't want them to, like, undermine it with another game. I also understand the realities of game development. They created this whole new game in this world, and these systems. They're not going to do it just for one game, however many copies it sold. So I get that they were going to make a Last of Us 2. What they've shown of it so far has me interested because it seems to be taking place so far in the future from the first that it's not a direct continuation, which is not, that's what I didn't want.
Right.
Was like for the game to pick up a week after the first one ended, that kind of story.
Yeah.
So that I'm okay with. I've come to terms with it. But here's what's interesting, man. So that original Last of Us Part 2 trailer with Ellie playing the guitar, and then presumably Joel walks in the doorway and like says something to her. There was all the theorizing afterwards. My theory, which remains, is that in the game, at least most of the game, Joel is dead. And Ellie is talking to him in her mind.
Yes.
Like she's seeing him, but he is not real.
I share that theory.
And when she's talking about, I'm going to kill them all, getting revenge, it's the people that killed him.
Yes.
That was my operating theory for The Last of Us Part 2. Then they released this trailer, which introduces new characters, or so we think. I'll get to that in a minute. But it looks like new characters. There's like a villain female and this unnamed adult female that gets strapped up. Everybody should watch the trailer if you haven't, but I'm sure you have. Yeah. She gets strapped up to be hanged, and then there's this villainous woman who's very religious seeming, speaking to her and kind of quoting things. Then they bring in this other younger Asian girl, brutalize her, like break her arm on the ground. It was really hard to watch. And she's talking about like, hey, where's the other apostate, which basically is like someone that rejects our religion. And then the guys that are holding the Asian chick down get shot through the head with an arrow. The Asian chick helps kill this other dude, kills the main chick. And then another younger Asian girl comes out, presumably like this other Asian woman's sister.
I think it was a boy.
Because I also thought it was a boy, but I was looking online and everybody refers to her as a she.
I don't know. The tone of the voice sounded masculine.
I thought like that too, but everyone's saying that it was a she, so I just thought it was maybe a she.
Maybe.
This potentially bi-gendered younger Asian person comes out. Boy or girl, who knows. And then they set this older woman free, and then they're attacked by clickers. And that's where the trailer ends.
Right, and they call them demons.
Yes, they call them demons, yes.
Which, that makes me feel that it is early days infection. If they're referring to them as demons. Also, it could just be that, they're maybe in Asia or some area that's like less developed. I don't know, because that's what the architecture around them looked like.
So, this is not my theory, but apparently people did digging, and it looks like this takes place, at least this scene takes place in Seattle.
Oh.
Because of the types of trees that are around, and they actually recognize the actual highway that they're under. And there's one quick shot which you can't really see where the two men are dragging this woman to string her up, and you can see a highway like directional sign that apparently says like Columbia Way, which is a real street in Seattle, and they found the picture of that. So that's the theory, which seems very founded, that this is in Seattle.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
For me, like the trees stood out. The trees felt Pacific Northwest, but I've never been.
I guess
there,
I didn't pay that much attention.
But some very interesting theories about this. So you said like this seems like it's in the early days of infection. So the working theory right now is that this woman is Ellie's mom,
right?
Which would make this a prequel, yes, or at least this segment a prequel. And another kind of supporting evidence is Naughty Dog tweeted out a picture of this character and said, hey, proud to say Laura Bailey is playing blank. And they had the name blocked out, and there were 4 blocked out letters. We already know from the first game that Ellie's mom's name is Anna.
Right.
A-N-N-A, 4 letters. That would make sense. The woman also looks very much like Ellie.
Yes.
She has the red hair. She's also
ripped
as shit. There's a shot of her when the clickers are coming to attack and she's got her arms at her sides. It also just showcases the amazing graphical prowess of Naughty Dog.
So good.
But her like triceps, the way that it kind of like folds over her back when her arms are at her side, one looks so realistic, and 2, like she is jacked.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the working theory, which would mean that this game is a combo prequel and sequel, with parts of it being a prequel where potentially you're playing as Ellie's mom, parts of it when you're playing as Ellie, who's older, which is very interesting. Like, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I agree.
The only other thing I'll throw out is this. This is based on nothing. This is just something that could be that when I first saw this character before she spoke, this is what I thought it was. That character is Ellie. And so the game is a sequel, but it takes place over multiple years. So we got that earlier scene where she's playing the guitar, where she's like late teens. And then this, where like she's an older woman playing. So obviously there's more evidence to support the prequel/sequel story, but that was just my gut reaction, so I wanted to throw it out there.
I just think she looks too different than Ellie,
to be grown up.
Yeah, what I feel Ellie at that age would look like. I think she just looks too different. Because the Ellie we see in the first trailer definitely looks like she's in her 20s. And that Ellie...
You think so?
I think so.
I guess that's possible. She looked like maybe 18 to me.
I was thinking like 20 to 22.
Okay.
And that version of Ellie looks different enough from this woman who could be mid to late 30s, maybe even 40s.
Right.
Early 40s.
Yeah, that's fair.
They just look so different that I can't reconcile the two as the same person.
It also does make sense because you're right. They do look a little different, but they look similar.
Yeah, they look like they could be
that
in the
it would
same
be
family,
her mom,
aka mom-daughter. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that trailer I thought was really brutal.
Yeah.
I was going to play this game anyway, but this definitely helps kind of pump up that hype. My big disappointment with all of these trailers, which I'm not surprised by it, but like, there are no more games coming out this year. Like, there was no surprise announcement that like God of War is coming out in December. It's not like I was expecting that, but maybe a little bit of me was hoping for it. But it should make 2018 a very strong year, assuming Spider-Man and God of War actually come out in 2018. Who knows if Last of Us will? I tend to think that game's probably coming out spring 2019, but we'll see. Naughty Dog does like to delay stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick, because we're running long, wanted to touch on some other kind of quick hit news things that came out. Episode 5 of Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy comes out November 7th, this Tuesday. I didn't even know episode 3 and 4 had come out, so I need to go back and finish episode 2 because I paid for this, so I want to see it through. So I will at least try to play that and beat through that whole series this year.
Yeah, will episode 5 be the last episode, you think?
I would imagine so. Okay. That's typically how they structure it, but I could be wrong. It could be 6. I would think it would only be 5, though. They want to finish it before the end of the year.
Right.
For anybody looking to get into the Nintendo handheld game, they're doing a Black Friday bundle for the 2DS, so no 3D, but it is Zelda version. So it's like a cool green color, and it comes with Ocarina of Time 3D installed. And it is only $80, which is a really good deal.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to get a system for that you can play all the 3DS games on, minus the 3D, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
PUBG is coming out on Xbox One X, or I should say Xbox One, on December 12th, and then the Xbox One X updates will come out after that. That's just kind of a PSA. I'm not sure if this will be considered 1.0, if this will still be considered early access. For the sake of Giant Bomb's Game of the Year, I'm going to hope it's 1.0 because it's going to win Game of the Year if it does officially release. So we'll see. And then Housemarque has come out. And this is Housemarque, makers of Resogun and kind of the dual stick top-down arcade shooter. They're like the last stander of that from like a larger publisher perspective. Right. They aren't making any more arcade shooters, or at least their next game won't be an arcade shooter. So I know that really bums out a lot of people that like that genre. I liked Resogun. I wouldn't consider myself like a fan of that genre. Some of the games are fine. Some of them I couldn't care about. But I'm honestly excited by this news. They're very, very good at what they do. I don't know if that will translate to another genre, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And I always like it when developers that are talented push themselves in new directions. Yeah. So curious to see and excited to see kind of what they come up with for their next game. finally, and I bring this up because it is directly correlated to our hate of the week last week. How's that a fucking segue? EA is changing the way their loot boxes are going to work for Star Wars Battlefront 2. So they had a beta. They got a lot of feedback from the beta. And because of that negative feedback, they're changing their loot boxes. So the big complaint was that there was a lot of grinding involved to get like the crates, which kind of unlock the cards and stuff. And it seemed tuned in a way to force you to spend real life money because it took too long to grind them out. The issue was inside those crates were the only way that you'd get like the epic tier stuff, like the late game highest level stuff, which kind of made it feel like pay to win. It wasn't purely cosmetic. It was actual gameplay things that you could only get through crates. And to get crates, you had to spend real money or play an exorbitant amount of time in the game. And that seems pretty shitty for the end consumer. Yep. So EA has gone back. You can get those like high level gear just through playing the game. They've changed the ways in which you can get it. The high level star cards, which are like the consumables that you use, you can only get those at higher levels to help encourage people to play more. The weapons and the gear and the class items you unlock as you progress leveling up the classes, which is a traditional like Call of Duty way of doing it. And they're obviously keeping the crates, but it will almost exclusively just be cosmetic stuff, which is definitely a good change. If people want to spend real money on that, by all means, they can. But there's not the feeling that you have to spend real money in order to succeed, which definitely seems like a good change. In this update, they also reiterated that all of the post-launch content will be free.
Right, so no season pass, right?
Yes. That piece to me is the most interesting because the crates and having people spend money on crates seemed like that's how they were able to make the map packs free.
Right.
Is because they'd be getting money through these crates and microtransactions, essentially.
Maybe they just still anticipate people spending a lot of money on those.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. People that are really hardcore into the game, I'm sure there will be cool skins and stuff like that. I mean, Star Wars, everybody loves Star Wars. But I can't imagine they're going to sell as many without people feeling like they need to pay that stuff in order to succeed. So,
but also they have to earn some goodwill back from their community in the first game.
Totally agree.
So, this is the smart move, is to take a little bit, and it's honestly like I'm sure they have people on board that say this is probably like minimal sales loss. Right.
With,
I'm
sure they have some kind of graph. I'm
sure they have some kind of graph that says, right, if we lose this amount of money, it will earn us this amount of community respect back, or
and keep players engaged. All that stuff.
So,
I guess my only other point on that, which I'm curious to see how it plays out, is how they devote their resources for DLC. Like, do they still execute on their original plan for map packs and stuff, since that will all be free? Or do they divert some additional resources to making additional cosmetic options, which they release, quote unquote, for free, but you can only get those through the crates, which you can only get through paying money or playing extra long.
Right.
And see if they try to earn back a little bit more of that revenue with more things that you can spend real money on.
Yeah.
Just from a business case. Not that we'll ever know one way or the other what decisions were made behind the scenes. I'll be interested to see what these DLC releases look like in terms of how many maps, how many weapons versus how many new cosmetic things that you can buy. Curious.
Yeah.
So, on that topic, since it was the hate of the week last week, let's go ahead and dive into hate of the week for this week. Hate of the week. So, kind of changing gears here a little bit, because we're going to get real.
Yeah.
Don't want to spend a ton of time on this because it's a hot button issue, I would say, in my best newscaster voice. But definitely something we both feel very passionate about. So, kind of on a broad scope, I think it can be boiled down to this modern method of thinking where someone is guilty until proven innocent. And this, I don't mean this like literally in court, but this court of public opinion, I guess, is the good way of putting it. Whenever something comes out that someone said or did something and it isn't based in fact, but just in an accusation, the immediate reaction is that person did it. There's never a questioning of the accuser. it's always the accusee that is assumed to be guilty. I think this is very unhealthy.
I agree.
And like bad for
humans.
How human beings look at other human beings. I feel like that is a very negative trend. I won't bring up the specific argument that you referenced, Kyle, but I do want, because on our little notes sheet, Kyle, it was very funny because I hadn't chosen the hate of the week for this week yet. And so when I went in the other day to kind of look at kind of our outline, Kyle had already submitted one, and it was this, and this was already going to be the one that I wanted to do. And it was actually, they were both of our ideas were sparked by the same event, which we'll get into just a little bit and in a little bit. But I wanted to say, so here's what Kyle has to write about this. People keep touting their opinions based on emotions as fact, and the court of public opinion has everything all fucked up its own ass. The world will burn, and that's a good thing.
That's what I wrote in our Google Doc.
Which, like, I read that and I was like, damn, I thought I was the negative one. I'm glad we're ending the episodes on, like, stuff we don't hate, because, geez,
I was so mad
dark
when I wrote that. Oh, my God, I was pissed.
So, and since you wrote this, and I thought of it too, more news has come out on this specific topic. But just to say, like, the impetus for this was all the shit that's come out recently about Kevin Spacey and the sexual harassment allegations. So, I will say, at the time, and this, it's not like this is like a new thing. There have been sexual harassment allegations and from like high-powered Hollywood people all the time. Mm-hmm. I totally believe that most of them happen. The bigger thing was like, it's just assumed that the person is guilty. When any one person raises their hand and says this happened to me without any verification from any other sources, everyone's like, fuck the person that did that. That person is guilty. There's never any questioning of if the person accusing is telling the truth.
Yeah, and based upon allegations alone, people's entire careers have been ruined and ended.
Yeah. So, but I do want to clarify, especially particularly with Kevin Spacey, since that original story came out, since Kyle and I both heard about this and wanted to talk about it, way more people have come forward about this. Right. And like, I am not sitting here and saying that I automatically assume someone accusing someone of something is lying. Like, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is the whole point is that they are innocent until proven guilty. One person accusing someone else of something doesn't mean that it 100% happened. That's all I'm trying to say. This isn't specific to sexual harassment allegations, because that is a very slippery slope and a very difficult thing. But my perspective is, let me explain it this way. So I was in a conversation with somebody, this was a while ago, and we were talking about rape allegations and how scary that is that so many more people in the past decade have come forward with rape allegations than before then. And there are so many different causes that you can come to. There could be, more men nowadays that are doing that kind of thing. There could be more empowerment on the female victims to feel comfortable coming forward with that. Or, if you want to look at it that way, there could be more women that are lying about it to get something they want or to get attention or whatever else. Again, I want to reiterate, I am not saying that every woman that has come forward about this is a liar. I am not saying that at all. Please don't write me an email about that. That's not the point of this. All I'm saying is the assumption when someone comes forward with something like that, they assume that the person is telling the truth and therefore are assuming that the other person is guilty. I just don't think that we can just one person's accusation with no factual backup, you can't just believe that 100% of the time.
Right.
If there are multiple people coming forward, like in the case of Bill Cosby, I don't think anyone could claim that Bill Cosby didn't harass at least some or most of those women.
Right.
I can't say that he did it to all of them because it's all just firsthand accounts. It is totally, if you are willing to believe that there are so many men out there that are that fucked up that would do something that terrible, you have to also be willing to believe that there are women out there that are so fucked up and looking for attention that they would lie about something like this. I don't think you can have one without the other, unfortunately. So, this original conversation I was having with someone, their argument was, If a woman accuses a man of rape, then it happened. You're not allowed to question that woman. She shouldn't have to testify in court. Her accusation alone should be enough. And I was like, are you for real? Like, seriously for real? You're just supposed to take anyone's word for anything? And their thing was like, to make someone relive something like that is abuse in and of itself. To like question a woman who would claim this and make her prove it, that's just as abusive as the original abuse. And I was like, first of all, no. Second of all, is it not like terrible for someone that witnessed a murder or someone like that was attacked and like someone tried to kill them for that person to go testify in court? Like, you can't have both ways. Just like, this is so tough to talk about because I'm a guy. And so like, it's difficult, but like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say a woman who claims she was raped, you're just supposed to believe her 100% of the time, all the time. But someone that comes out and says, this person tried to kill me, that person needs to prove it. They need to prove that this person tried to kill someone else. Their word is not enough on its own. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry, you just can't. Otherwise, we're fucking back to the Salem witch trials, where it's all just accusations
he said,
fact.
She said, burn him at the stake. Like,
yes.
And so my conversation with this person was, they posted the article, or an article, from a source, I think it was NPR. And I read the article, and I commented. I said, I really don't know how to feel about this. Like, on the one hand, if he did it, like, that's terrible, and I feel awful. Yes. But he might not have. And also, this article is super biased. Like, I can't trust what this article says. And the person commented back, like, well, there's no bias. Like, they're just saying what factually happened. And so I listed 2 examples of bias in the article. One of them was that, because Kevin Spacey released a statement, right? One half of it was dedicated to the allegations, and the second half was dedicated to releasing his sexual identity, that he's been in the closet for a while. He's a homosexual. And in the article, they said, and Kevin Spacey dedicated this second, and then in parentheses, and longer half of his statement towards this, blah, blah, blah. They're both 8.5 lines. So they're the same exact length. So the author of the article only put that and longer to add emphasis and like put a dig at the coming out statement.
That's even if it was clearly longer, like the implication, like that is clear editorializing.
Correct. Yes.
And that's not reporting. Which is a whole other topic.
That was my first example. Second example was at the end of the article, it had a bunch of examples of Spacey's peers admonishing him. Right, like saying stuff about him, like negatively. Like, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe I worked with this guy. It's awful. It's terrible. How dare he? No examples of support from his peers. So the article ends with only examples of his peers saying bad stuff. No one standing behind him. Now, if there are no examples of anyone standing behind him, they should say that. They did not.
Sure.
So I said, like, that's another clear sign of bias. Like, they're only giving one side of this argument. And so that... problem number 1, people don't know how to identify bias, which is a huge problem. And then 2, this other guy comes in to the conversation, as they do, and he pops in. He's like, I really hope you're not, like, I really hope I'm misreading you and you're not doubting the or doubting the testimony of whatever. I said,
victim shaming.
Yeah, so I said exactly what you've been talking about. I said, look, I'm not qualified to have an informed opinion because there's no facts, there's no evidence, there's nothing. I can't say Kevin Spacey did or did not do it. I can't say the victim is or is not lying. And then it just became this witch hunt about me personally, and like, you're part of the problem. This is the problem with rape culture. Like, you're contributing to blah, blah, blah. I was like, look, I came in here very respectfully and logically, laid out my argument, and then fucking this. So one other time, in a totally separate argument, I was making a point, and some stupid bitch was like, thanks for mansplaining it for me. And so I was like, yeah, I'm a man and I explained it, so there, you're fucking welcome. And I blocked her like 30 seconds after, so she had time to see it. And so this guy comes in, he says, well, thanks for that logical, objective white man, and then did the registered trademark symbol after it. And I was like, you know what? You and I have worked on the same stage before, so I would expect more respect from you in the future. And like, thank you for that reductive and disrespectful comment to me when I didn't say anything about either of you. Because currently it's 2-on-1, because no one else wants to be the voice of objectivity and logic, apparently. Everyone just wants to tout emotional responses. And I was like, you know, so your response to me tells me all I need to know about how much stock I should put in what you have to say. Like, hopefully we can have intelligent and enlightened conversations in the future, but I'm putting an end to this one because I don't deserve that kind of treatment. We're just discussing this. And it was super, it really bothered me because that is him not bothering to finish the conversation. He's just saying, it's over, and here's my last word in. And
dismissing you, resorting to name calling, these are all the tactics of an immature, insecure person.
Exactly. And it really bothered me because I respect him as an artist and like what like his talent, because he's an actor and a musician that I knew from college, and I had seen what he can do and has the abilities to, and I've had positive interactions with him before, and so that really bummed me out more because of that. And then, of course, you know, I say that, it's over, no one's responding for like a full day, and then this dumb, stupid bitch that I went to college with who, like, used to do heroin, I don't know if she still does, can't speak to that, but she used to, and she's just the most obnoxious person. I say the heroin thing because that should tell you all you need to know about why I don't associate with her. She comes in and goes, actually that wasn't disrespectful because that's how you're being in the comment thread. And I read that and I was like, why am I fucking Facebook friends with her? And so I blocked her. Like she's not contributing anything to society. So I felt okay blocking her, but I don't want to block this other guy because like I respect what he has to say. We may differ on our opinions, but hopefully we can have conversations in the future. It's just these kinds of conversations, like if you're listening to this, don't fucking be that person. Like do not name call. Always give people the benefit of the doubt, like especially online.
I will throw I'm on your side. I will throw out you now have referred to this woman and another woman both as a bitch. And you just said don't name call.
Here's evidence of them being a bitch. Here is factual evidence of them doing that.
Okay.
Fuck them.
Yes, fuck them. My only point in bringing that up is, and it's not fair, but I think you are capable of rising above that and not resorting to that level. I'm not excusing that behavior or what they say, but I think that you are bright enough and mature enough to find a different way of expressing that. And I know you didn't say that to them.
No.
And obviously you're heated now and you're emotional talking about it now. I get it. That is all I would say about that. Because I think, I don't know. As always, it's really hard for two white guys to be talking about this shit. Which, like, and I say that for multiple reasons. It's hard for two white guys to talk about this because the assumption from people that want to be oversensitive is that we are mansplaining, blah, 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 and that is how they dismiss something they don't want.
Right.
They don't want to listen to us because we're on a different side, and so that's how they dismiss us and invalidate us, is by saying because we're men, we don't whatever.
Which, guess what?
But
that's actually sexism. Because
yes,
that's a two-way fucking
is
street,
sexism.
people.
Let me throw this out there, though. They are right in the capacity that we don't have that experience. And we talked about this before, and just a couple episodes ago. Like, I referenced some stuff that my wife's had to deal with from men, and we were talking about this the other night. Actually, we initially were talking about Kevin Spacey, and, like, then transitioned to, like, overly aggressive men in general. And, like, obviously, I have never had to deal... Well, that's not fair. I have had to deal with overly aggressive women coming on to me, but it's never... Like, it's not scary. Like, I'm not afraid of an overly aggressive, flirty woman, even if she's gross. Right. But as a woman, I don't understand, but, like, I do understand, if that makes sense. Like, that's scary. Like, someone that is bigger and stronger than you coming on to you and being physical with you. Like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Sure. Like, that is scary. Yeah, so it's all of that to say, like, we do not have the context or the experience to understand the scope of what it is we're talking about. And, like, this whole notion of victim shaming and, like, why would a woman ever make up the fact that she was raped? Like, that's such a traumatic thing. Why would you need to make her explain it and prove it, blah, blah, blah? From an emotional perspective, I totally understand that perspective. The issue is judgment is not about emotion.
Right.
It is about law and fact and real shit.
Logic.
That's the core hate of the week that I'm trying to talk about. I don't want to like go down a whole other angle of talking about all this other stuff because of a lot of different reasons. But the core of the argument is about this court of public opinion and this assumption of guilt. And this is so much bigger than the recent sexual allegations against, power people in the entertainment industry, which predominantly are male. So it makes sense that this is a big deal because you don't as often hear about women that are being predatory towards, like lower, what's the word?
Subordinate.
Like someone that's below someone else. Yeah, subordinate men, whatever. But I wanted to bring up one other example of this that's a completely different thing. So hopefully we can, for people that are like, hopefully they haven't already turned it off. But anybody that is like, these are two fucking white guys, what the fuck do they know about any of this shit? Here's another example of something that is different than the sexual harassment allegations. So please just hear me out on this one. So I've mentioned this before because I play in fantasy football. There is an ongoing court case against Ezekiel Elliott, who is the running back of the Dallas Cowboys. He was a rookie last year, had a phenomenal year, led the league in rushing yards, an amazingly talented player. In the offseason, a big story comes out about an ex of his from college. He went to Ohio State University. She came out and is accusing him of physical abuse. Not like he tried to kill her or anything, but just that like he got handsy with her a couple of times. This is several years after the fact that she's coming out. So you can look at that from two perspectives. One is, I don't know, she was afraid before and now she's finally come to terms with this, so she's talking about it. The other, more cynical perspective is she waited until he was a famous NFL player making millions of dollars a year, and then she decided to come after him to try to get a settlement out of court and get some money from the guy. As a cynical person, and as someone that assumes innocence until proven guilt, that's like what I imagined maybe happened. But I was like, let's see what happens. Like, if he did this, fuck that guy, obviously. So the NFL hires a special investigator, and then also the district attorney in Ohio is going about the case. The DA comes back and said there's conflicting evidence from the accuser, this woman. She gave different accounts of what happened, and I don't want to paraphrase necessarily what the guy's saying, but basically he was like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her testimony. I think she's lying, and therefore drop the charges against Zeke. Meaning he didn't even go to trial. It's not that he went to trial and was proven innocent. There wasn't even enough to bring him to trial. So the NFL has their special investigator. She goes about her business. She concludes the same thing. She's like, I don't trust what this lady is saying. I don't believe her. I don't think anything happened. There's nothing to suggest that this happened other than her just claiming it. There's no evidence, nothing. Roger Goodell, dictator of the NFL, he's the commissioner of the NFL. He's one of the worst human beings. That's hyperbolic. There are plenty of other human beings worse, but he's a bad person. He's gotten in trouble in the past. There was another famous case of spousal abuse, or I guess like abuse of a football player against his partner, female partner. And Roger Goodell, there was, I mean, maybe you've even seen it, or people listening have seen it. There's a famous elevator video of this dude like hitting his woman, like putting her on the ground. That's an NFL player. And so that video came out and there was all this big news. Apparently, Goodell saw that video and had it days or even weeks before it was leaked out, and he didn't do anything about it. Okay. Once it was leaked, then he suspended the guy for like 3 games. It was like 3 game suspension from this. So Makes sense. He's trying to overcorrect. So even though the district attorney dropped the charges against Zeke, even though the investigator he hired to look into the case said there's no wrongdoing, he suspends Zeke for 6 games.
Wow.
No court case, no trial, no evidence, nothing, and he suspends this running back for 6 games. And so this whole season, Zeke's lawyers and the NFL Players Association, the union that Zeke's a part of, has been like fighting for him, and he still maintains his innocence. And everybody's like, dude, come on, just be a man, take the suspension, just fucking do it, don't like stretch this out. And he's like, this isn't about me not wanting to be suspended or losing 6 games worth of pay. I didn't do this. If I just say, or like, and they're like, why don't you negotiate? Like, go and tell them you'll do 3 games. Maybe they'll give you 3 games instead.
Because then
he's like, that's not what this is.
It's okay.
I don't, yes. Like, if I agree to this, even if they suspend me for 1 game or whatever, because I'm complicit, that's me admitting that I beat my ex-girlfriend. I didn't do that. Why would I? Like, it doesn't matter even if they don't give a shit and they suspend me for the 6 games, I will go with my innocence. And I also want to clarify, maybe he fucking did this. There's no evidence to show one way or the other. It's totally possible that he did. And if he did, fuck him. And I hope he gets some kind of help and learns from that. And, you know, I feel terrible for the woman that had to go through that. But where we are now, the evidence presented, the facts presented says he is innocent of this. And yet the NFL commissioner is suspending him for 6 games anyway. Everyone online is just assuming that he's guilty, that he did it. He should just, quote unquote, be a man and accept his punishment, which is sexism, by the way. Like that. And so totally different from these sexual harassment allegations. Like this is a case where like there's a literal trial still to come for this, where he's now suing the NFL for like this wrongdoing, blah, blah, blah. Because there's a whole, I mean, I could have a whole podcast talking about this because, to be honest with you, I have him on my fantasy football team and I've been following this case very closely. So I have like a lot of the knowledge that's been coming out. But anyway, moral of the story, maybe don't just assume someone did something terrible until you know that they did something terrible.
Yeah, and like also it's human nature to find patterns in chaos, and like we always feel like we need to know the answers, which is why we prefer movies that have a nice neat end. We prefer books that don't end on a cliffhanger. That's why we're always left wanting more when there's a cliffhanger. We need complete sets. We need a story. We need an end. It's okay to say, I don't know. I can't have an opinion. It's fucking okay to say that.
Yep.
You don't have to fucking pick a side. Like, sometimes the middle ground is the best option because you should not be picking a side, right?
And this goes back to Hate of the Week from a couple episodes ago of, like, the anonymity of the internet and everyone's got to have their hot take. Like, whenever anything happens, I got to tweet my opinion about it because I'm important. I matter. Give me validation. Right. Even if you don't know dick about what's happening, even if you don't actually have anything important to say about the situation, you just have to blast out your bullshit into the ether in the hopes that you can get your 2 likes. Ugh. So frustrating. But as resolution to that, certainly seems like Kevin Spacey did at least some of that shit. So fuck that guy. I hope he gets some kind of treatment. He learns from it. And I hope that the people that were victimized get some sort of solace in coming out about it, that punishment happens, that they're able to move forward. I hope that situation resolves itself in a positive way. It's incredibly fucked up. I cannot fathom being predatory towards women, or in his case, towards younger men. Like, I cannot understand what happens in someone's brain to make them do those kinds of things. Right. And I will never be able to understand that. It's so messed up. But let's end this episode on a note of positivity. I got some good feedback to our love thing last episode. Okay. A friend of mine messaged me on Facebook and was like, I really liked that. It was a nice little note. However, listening to it back for me, the love, maybe it was a little cheesy. So in order to stay on brand, we're going to make it Today I Don't Hate.
Okay.
So we start off with Today I Hate, and we're going to end it with Today I Don't Hate. So after all that bullshit, Today I Don't Hate rainy Sundays.
Is it raining where you are right now?
It is. Just like a nice little drizzle.
I think it is.
It's amazing.
I think it is here, too. And my name's Kyle, and today I don't hate that you can block people on Facebook and then hopefully never run into them again in real life. It's the best. Also, I would like to apologize to those 2 unnamed women that I called bitches in this episode.
Thank you. I know you were heated.
I still think you are that, but I'm allowed to have my opinion. I do not need to vocalize it in this kind of a setting and in this kind of a forum, and I recognize that. I do apologize for vocalizing that opinion.
So the only reason I called you on that, because I totally agree with everything you were saying. Not those specific
but it was hypocritical.
Words, but the point that you were making, I agreed with. It did feel hypocritical to me, and especially as we admit to white guys talking about this, calling women a bitch, calling a woman a bitch is borderline at best, if I'm being honest with you, in the context or out of the context. I just don't want, as your older brother, I don't want people to be able to dismiss what you're trying to say because of what you said. That was it. That was the only point that I was trying to make.
I got it. But yeah, I do want to apologize for vocalizing that negative opinion in that way and using that word.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. And not in a lamey cheem. I can't say it. A cheesy lame way. I legit am proud of you for acknowledging that, listening, moving forward. I think having this out on the internet is a very healthy thing to do. So that's good.
So what you're saying is I should mess up more often and then backpedal on it so you tell me you're proud of me more.
No.
Because that's what I got from it.
No. I mean, if you want to... No. No, let's not do that.
Because I got a whole thing on race I can do real quick. No. Please, God, no.
Don't even joke. Don't even joke.
Oh, just take that...
take that's out. A whole other freaking topic. Because this Zeke case, obviously he's a black guy, and there's the whole other implications about that.
It's
terrible,
a mess.
Terrible
Place.
Situation. It is a terrible time to not be a white guy. Let me just say that. And it always has been a terrible time.
That's the big thing. It's always been a terrible time to not be
white. It's that Louis C.K. bit where he talks about someday we're going to get ours. Us white guys, someday it is going to suck. But right now, no. Right now. What's the thing he says? He's like, I'm not saying that white people are better,
but
I'm saying that being white is clearly better.
Yes.
I love Louis C.K.
He's funny.
Says whatever the hell he wants, and he doesn't apologize. That's going to do it for today. Maybe we didn't end it on super positive because we dove back into that a little bit. But hey, it's raining outside. I'm going to log off. I'm going to go watch some football. I'm going to come home and I'm going to play some video games. It's going to be a good Sunday.
Nice. I also want to say I started the day by playing online Call of Duty.
There you go.
That'll
make anyone
pissed.
I
just finished a monster, so my heart rate was double my resting heart rate during this whole thing. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna try and backpedal as hard as I can.
No, it's good. It's good. We've moved past.
Great.
It doesn't invalidate the point you were trying to make. You addressed it. We're good. We're all good. It's heat of the moment. It's fine.
Just like the song.
But that's going to do it for this week, everybody. Thank y'all for listening. Kyle, of course, thank you for joining me as always. This was a bit of a long episode. It was good, though. Talked about a lot of good shit. So we'll be back. And as I said earlier on, I'm back on the horse with my reviews and blog posts. I slacked off last month because I was really worried about the job situation, but I'm hopping back on the horse. I'm a writing machine. So check out my review, Thor Ragnarok, Stranger Things 2. Got some quickie reviews. I have a list of the top 10 episodes of Park and Recreation going up this week, which should be fun. So check out SheaHatesEverything.com for video games, movies, comics, and other shit that matters. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.